Oh man, it just gives me the vibes of Pizza Tower. There we go. How brain rot can we get though? I want like more brain rot. I want like an always on top window. Do I have power tools installed? Not on this computer? Damn it. Used to be able to pin whatever window I wanted, so I'd be like, "Bleh," just be fucking brain rot. I could. Alright, guys. Hear me out. Hear me out. Got. Ayo. Then we do it like that, and then the brain rot. We'll put the brain rot like over there for you guys, and then for you guys we'll put it like right there. I want to watch some brain rot while I play this game, and I don't care about your guys' viewer experience because I have learned from the fact that bad software experiences that people will still persevere through bad software experiences like Adobe. So because of that, you're gonna have a bad viewer experience, and
software security system.
And I'm gonna watch that while I play. So this is
here's the Wii and PlayStation 3. After the embarrassment that was the original
we're playing
Xbox
Schedule 1,
Microsoft
but
knew
because
to step up for its successor,
because you guys have bad viewership,
despite a few missteps,
I'm gonna just watch what I want in the corner. And have another monitor over here watching YouTube videos.
Which thrived on the original Xbox, has remained elusive without direct modification of the hardware.
Oh yeah, totally.
That is until late 2024 when all of a sudden a new 360 exploit called Bad
trim and harvest this shit. Oh hell.
Doomer. And while it's no replacement for an honest-to-God hard mod, it does crack the door open ever so slightly to 360 modding for those with no ability or will to solder, proving that no matter how secure something may be, there's always room for improvement. How did this happen? How does the 360 security work, and what did he do?
Yeah, what did we defeat?
Today, we'll be covering all that and
we ate it
after a message from our sponsor. If you're in need of a website and don't want to mess around with writing code or having to set up and maintain a server, then Squarespace is one of the easiest ways to do it. They have over 100 templates to choose from, whether you need a website for an online store, portfolio, business, or blog. Squarespace has you covered and will get you up and running in no time. And if you need to make any customizations, their site editor is a breeze to use, so you can really give your website the personal touch it needs. I used Squarespace for my online store and loved just how easy it was to get a great looking result. It integrated immediately with everything that I needed it to, and it gave me peace of mind to know that my store was in good hands. So if you want a great looking website with no fuss, head over to squarespace.com/MattKCBytes to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. But now back to the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 pioneered what is now a tried and true paradigm for console security. All user software runs on top of a hypervisor, kind of like a lightweight virtual machine. The hypervisor is the almighty gatekeeper, making sure that no code runs without explicit approval from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Really, every piece of code must be digitally
The code must be coded,
signature incorporates a hash
or else
data,
we
the
have
hypervisor will know if an executable
unhappies.
slightly. Nothing runs that Microsoft has.
There was like some.
First. But unlike a conventional virtual machine,
Who
games
runs
do
the
still have
packaging
direct
studio,
access to
though?
almost all of the hardware on the system and can, for the most part, do whatever they want. They can even overwrite the flash and brick the system if they want to. But they can't load additional code or write to executable memory. Only the hypervisor can do that, and it stops Homebrew dead in its tracks. Naturally, the hypervisor was very protected. Games can call into it for certain low-level tasks, but it's very diligent about validating all of the data it receives so that nothing can be used to compromise it. Games having direct hardware access was undoubtedly good performance, but was also, funnily enough,
bags?
another layer of security, keeping the hypervisor away from
you have no
hardware,
bags,
less opportunities to exploit.
Isn't it?
You know how at one point the PS3 could be exploited merely by inserting a USB jailbreak device? That couldn't happen with the 360. Whatever damage could be done would only affect the game, not the hypervisor. There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but all in all, the hypervisor was a masterclass of console security. Grimdoomer calls the hypervisor one of the most secure pieces of code Microsoft has ever written, and the proof is in the pudding. But even so, no software is truly perfect, and the hypervisor has been subject to one bug discovery early in the 360's lifespan in 2006. The King Kong exploit, or more accurately the 4548 system call handler bug, that was actually introduced to the Xbox 360's hypervisor via an update in October 2006. Bear with me here because it's impossible to explain this without looking at the PowerPC assembly code, which is probably why it was able to sneak under Microsoft's radar in the first place. As I mentioned, games can accomplish a handful of low-level tasks by calling into the hypervisor. As I also mentioned, the hypervisor does a lot of checks on any incoming request. Here you can see it ensures the requested call number is between 0 and hex 60 because that's how many calls there are. It then uses a lookup table to know what code to jump to based on the requested call. Despite being a 64-bit CPU, the designers knew there was only ever going to be 512 megabytes of memory, so the memory addresses on the 360 are only 30 bits long, with the remaining bits reserved for kind of metadata about the address. The table contains just raw addresses pointing to the code for each system call. Each one is stored in 32-bit or 4-byte entries, so to find the right one, all the hypervisor has to do is multiply the call number by 4. Except it actually just shifts the number 2 bits to the left, because that happens to be the fastest way to multiply a number by 4 in binary. They're using the 32-bit version of this bit shifting instruction, which also has the side effect of clearing out the upper 32 bits of the value. The lookup table is also protected using both encryption and a CRC checksum to ensure that no one has tampered with it and pointed an entry to custom code. Except there is a flag in that address metadata I mentioned that basically tells the hypervisor to not worry about encryption or checksumming. It's called, and again bear with me here, the HRMOR bypass bit. The HRMOR, or Hypervisor Real Mode Offset Register, is a register set during early initialization that forces all addresses to use the encrypted and checksummed pathway, unless the bypass bit is set, which means it can set its own pathway. Ordinarily, there's no way to set this bit since it's in the upper 32 bits of the address which get cleared out. That is, until kernel version 4532, where the instruction was inexplicably replaced with the 64-bit version of the instruction that does not clear out the upper 32 bits. Meanwhile, all the other instructions that checked that the system call was valid still only checked the lower 32 bits as they did before. Effectively, this makes it possible to sneak data into the uppermost 30 bits of an address, including the HRMOR bypass bit. And what that means is, if we overwrite an address in the system call table with one that's unencrypted and would normally break the CRC integrity check, the hypervisor will use it anyway. We can still only point to somewhere in the hypervisor segment, but that doesn't matter because if we find a versatile instruction like jump to whatever address is in register R4, then we just have to point register R4 to some code we want to run in hypervisor mode, and suddenly we have full control of the system. Most famously, this was triggered via a game exploit discovered in the 2005 King Kong movie tie-in games shader loading code. Really any game exploit could have been used, and many exploitable games have been discovered since, or this one happened to be the best one people had at the time.
There we go.
Modifying the shader required using a secondary
got
360
this.
exploit where early models
Got this in the bag, man. We're gonna win.
Flash to spoof the
We're gonna
media
win the
into an
universe.
official disk. This could be used to enable piracy.
Don't worry, we have anti-brain rot protection going.
Main code still
We're learning
by Microsoft,
instead of brain
feeding
rot.
the hypervisor on
They're
top of that
they're
quite
bagging
a
the
lot more
weed.
work. Of course, Microsoft patched the hypervisor bug shortly after it was discovered, and since it was so early in the 360's lifespan, it's extremely rare to find a unit that hasn't been updated well past this version. Of course, Microsoft also made it impossible to downgrade the 360 too. You may be wondering how Microsoft let such a simple mistake slip through when they were otherwise so careful about the 360's security. Grimdoomer suspects it might have actually been a bug in Microsoft's PowerPC compiler. Apparently, if you diff the various versions of the 360 OS, you can see several instances of instructions getting swapped out with equivalent or similar ones for no apparent reason. Microsoft presumably continued to tweak the code generated by the compiler throughout the 360's lifespan.
What's up? I am Aisha.
Instructions inexplicably changed.
And Lil
it
Dick
does
Dick.
seem unlikely that someone would replace this
That's the
instruction
name. Their
intentionally
name is
or
Lil
even
Dick Dick, and I am
accidentally.
Aisha,
No
bro.
reason to check whether any
I am
change.
Aisha 24 and
All
the Lil
the
Dick
recent
Dick.
release of insider information will likely never know exactly.
Don't worry, we're gonna learn. The bottom
That
corner
exploit was
down
discovered
there.
in 2006, and that was
Gonna teach you guys.
find a bug in the hypervisor until 18 years later when someone finally found another. It all started when Grimdoomer discovered an exploit in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland that could be used for arbitrary code execution. On its own, this didn't really change much about the 360 scene. It was a lot easier to trigger than the King Kong exploit, only needing a modified save file from a USB stick rather than having to modify shaders on the disk. But once again, the hypervisor prevented any further compromising of the system. Without another hypervisor bug, the Tony Hawk hack didn't really accomplish much on the 360. But Grimdoomer was persistent. A hypervisor bug had long been a hacking bucket list item for him. He had looked at the 360 code some 15 years earlier to no avail, but after several years of experience as a professional security engineer, he figured if there was any time to try doing it, this seemed to be the time. His approach was simple. No fuzzer, no emulation environment, just load up the compiled code in IDA and look at it. Initially, he searched for low-hanging fruit like out-of-bounds memory accesses, overflows or underflows, race conditions, lack of parameter validation, things that can be exploited without much complexity. Predictably, he didn't find anything, and he would have been disappointed if he had, so it was time to dig a little deeper into what the calls actually did. One of them looked extremely interesting. HVX keys execute, a hypervisor function that takes a small piece of executable code, signed by Microsoft of course, and runs it in hypervisor mode. Its main use is for simple one-time
Oh man, I already
operations, like
prepaid these
performing
guys.
additional security checks.
Oh, thank you for the follow. That scared me, Aisha 24.
From an exploit standpoint, because
Alright, so I guess we just gotta go sleep.
It was specifically to do non-standard
And then
ad hoc
sell our
operations
weed.
in hypervisor mode, which increases the likelihood of one of them
I really
introducing
enjoyed
Oh, thanks
your
for the
stream.
follow.
It's
Bug.
awesome.
Updates
Oh.
eventually finding around 25
24_7.
executable payments.
Oh no, Aisha's a fucking bot.
Having pretty unusual behavior that
No, I don't like banning
exploit required modifying
people.
encrypted memory, which no one had ever successfully done
Mods,
before.
ban this
I
person.
mentioned protected memory earlier. That's
Ban
it's
this
encrypted
person.
and
Ban them.
checksummed for integrity. But there's also just memory that's encrypted without the CRC check. Encrypted memory can be changed without the hypervisor knowing, but of course it has to be encrypted
Wait
in
a
exactly
minute, now
the
that I've
same
talked to
way, or
these
else the
guys,
360
and the
will try
night's
to
over.
decrypt it and produce
Where's my
garbage
money?
data in the process. This is a lot easier said than done because the 360's memory encryption keys are different per boot, per address, and per page allocation. That means we can't just grab a different piece of encrypted memory and
I
write
am
it over the
underscore
part of the
Aisha
attack because
24.
the encryption is different.
The Stream Squad.
Only the hypervisor knows
We got
the
the Stream Squad.
part of memory.
Millions of
Follow.
bots.
The game. Even
It's
so,
more bots,
Microsoft is
isn't
still
it? It's
aware that
more
encryption
bots.
can be tampered with, and as such, the hypervisor never
Give me some
implicitly
like
trusts
Viagra, bro. Give me
encrypted
20
memory,
Viagra.
typically only writing to it to
Give me
share data
20
with the kernel,
20 of
never
these.
reading back and operating on it. Except for that one update payload from earlier that seemed to do exactly that. It ran a decompression function in hypervisor mode and used a list of data and function pointers that were all encrypted but not protected. If
Picking
one
my
of those pointers
nose,
could be
picking my
replaced,
nose.
it could end up severely compromising hypervisor mode. But how could you possibly put custom data into encrypted memory? Well, strap in because this is about to get complicated.
There we go.
It is actually possible to just encrypt memory on the 360. There are official hypervisor APIs that can be used to do so. They even let us choose a location so we can encrypt at exactly the right address for the memory we're trying to replace. Hey, that's nice of them. In fact, it's not entirely clear why Microsoft provided these APIs. In some ways, they almost defeat the purpose of encrypting the memory at all. Presumably, they thought game developers might want it for something, but it's hard to imagine what kind of game data would
Nice.
need that much protection. But for our purposes, we can be very glad they did. But of course, we can't allocate over memory that's already there, and
I love
this
you.
is where it gets complicated. Remember, another key is also randomly generated every time a page is allocated, so even encrypting on the same boot at the same location still won't get us exactly the same encryption. Grimdoomer called this page allocation key the whitening value. Sadly, there's
We
no
had
way
bots
influence
trying
or
to join
retrieve
the
the whitening
stream
value
and
being
then
used for any
like
given page.
say
As
they
far as
love
the
my
hypervisor is
content.
concerned, it's none of our business.
And then
But
the
there
names
is
were
still
like
hope.
the Stream
Turns out this whitening
Squad,
value
which
is
I
so
believe the
infinite
Stream
long,
Squad
for a
might be
maximum
real,
range of
but the
0
name
to
1-0.
1023. So while the probability is low, it is possible
Well,
to get
there's
memory of the same one, just
0110
the page over
in the
and
name.
over and over. But
So-
how do you know you got the right whitening value when there's no way to see what it is? Well, this is what Grimdoomer did. He would get a small excerpt from the data he was trying to replace. It didn't matter where it was,
Yeah,
as long
but
as
their
it was
name
the same
isn't
memory
the
page, so
Stream
it had the
Squad.
same whitening value. He called this excerpt Oracle data.
And they don't
and
just
then
like
use the hypervisor APIs to encrypt both the Oracle data and the data he wanted to graft at their respective locations. Again, within the same page allocation, so they both had the same whitening value. Then he would run a loop, constantly loading and unloading the original data. Each time, the hypervisor would give it a different whitening value, but at some point, hopefully, the encrypted Oracle data will match the data in memory, meaning it must have gotten the same one. So we don't actually have to know what the whitening value was or is.
Give me
As
my
long as we
money.
know it's the same, we can safely graft and
How are you looking?
effectively writing
You
whatever we
still
want
have
to
weed. You're
encrypted
good to
memory.
go. What do I put in here?
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah. I'm gonna
with
eventually like
encrypted memory. How can we extend
mix
this to take
weed in
control
here or
of the
something.
hypervisor?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that update page.
Maybe I make meth
During
in the hotel
decompression,
room.
It uses a context struct that contains a lot of
Making
interesting
meth in the
things.
hotel room on my
Such as
own would be
memory
pretty
allocation
cool.
Functions and a pointer to where the decompressed data should go. Stuff that could be quite exploitable. And all of this stuff is just in encrypted memory. No CRC checks to ensure it hasn't been tampered with. I mean, as we can see, overriding read-only encrypted memory was no easy task, but why didn't Microsoft enforce all of the protections it had here? Well, it seems like the payload contains a handful of data segments, and they're moved to either protected or encrypted memory depending on their size. Protected pages are 64 kilobytes in size, and while it would have been possible to stretch one segment over multiple protected pages, they would have had to program specifically for that, making the code significantly more complex. So it seems they decided to go larger than that in just encrypted memory instead. The decompression context is in the same segment as the scratch buffer, which is defined as 2 times the compressed data block size, which is 32 kilobytes. This comes out to 64 kilobytes plus a little extra because of the context. It just barely missed being able to fit in protected memory, and had it been, none of this exploit would have been possible. By far the most interesting thing in that decompression context is the pointers to custom malloc and free functions. If those could be hijacked, we'd get arbitrary code execution in hypervisor mode more or
Yeah,
less
we do.
for free.
Oh, really?
In practice though, the malloc function gets used too early. In the time it takes to check the whitening value and overwrite the memory if it matches, it's already been used the one time it does, and it's too late to change it to something else. And sadly, and somewhat worryingly, the free function doesn't get called at all, so both of these ended up being non-starters. But another interesting pointer is the data output pointer. This is where the decompressed data gets written to, and if we overwrote that, we might be able to get the hypervisor to overwrite itself in a way that's useful to us. Unlike the malloc and free function pointers, this actually ended up being viable. The decompressor did end up overwriting hypervisor code, but it was far from an ideal exploit. The payload has to be signed, so we have no control over what data it produces, and it writes a whole 32 kilobytes of it at a time. Unfortunately, all we're able to control with this is where that 32 kilobytes gets written. Grimdoomer's first thought was to look through the hypervisor's data segment for things that might be useful to overwrite, like pointers to other code or data. But this ultimately proved to be infeasible.
What?
The hypervisor's data segment
See,
was a minefield
I don't get it.
that would completely crash the system if overwritten, which is a problem when you're forced to write a whole 32 kilobytes at a time. Trying to overwrite anything even remotely interesting would end up overwriting something else that needed to be left alone. Despite this, Grimdoomer knew it was likely the closest thing he'd find to something that could overwrite hypervisor memory. So he accepted the challenge and decided he had to find a way to make it work. After thinking about it more, he realized that the decompressed data was bootloader code, meaning valid instructions for the 360 CPU. So maybe if he positioned the data in just the right place, he could replace a hypervisor system call with something a lot more useful. Helpfully, he found just the kind of thing he was looking for, an instruction in the decompressed bootloader code that would store a byte held in register R4 to an address held in register R6, followed immediately by a return instruction. If positioned just right, this could essentially become an arbitrary write function to any location in memory, including, crucially, code and data in the hypervisor segments. Okay, so here's how we make this work. First, use an exploitable game to get some arbitrary code execution. Grimdoomer used Tony Hawk, but any similar exploit will work. Then encrypt the address you want to force the payload to decompress to, somewhere that will cause the right instructions to end up replacing one of the hypervisor's system calls. Then create 2 threads. One that just runs the payload over and over and over, and another that constantly checks it to see whether its whitening value was the same one we got when we encrypted our data. Once we have that, start hammering that new address into the struct. The payload will be updating the output buffer pointer at the same time, so we're effectively in a race to modify the address just at the right time to get our data into the right place. If we win the race condition, this will replace one of the hypervisor's system calls with an arbitrary write function, giving us the ability to directly modify the hypervisor. From here, it's fairly straightforward. We can modify another system call to jump to code that we made ourselves, and just like that, we have arbitrary code execution in hypervisor mode. Full control of the system, purely from software. But as you can tell, there's nothing about this process that's easy. Relying on both a brute force of the whitening value and a race condition of the output buffer is like building a house on sand and on stilts. Not only could it take a long time for both of those to happen at all, but additionally exploiting a race condition is inherently unsafe and could end up crashing the console completely. Grimdoomer was able to do some things to improve it. For example, reducing the effective size of the L2 cache helped to make it significantly more likely the CPU would pick up the replaced pointer from memory, greatly improving the speed from 10 to 15 minutes down to as low as 2 to 3 minutes. But while he speculates it may be possible to further improve reliability and speed, he doesn't expect it to ever be an immediate hack. There's just too much volatility inherent in the process to ever reach a high level of reliability. Also, attacking the hypervisor without attacking the boot process produces an inherently temporary result. This may enable homebrew as long as the 360 stays on, but as soon as it powers off, it's back to stock configuration and you'll have to redo the entire process again. But still, Grimdoomer proved once and for all that anyone who said the 360 was unhackable was wrong. It may not be a perfect hack, but it is a hack, and that's something. After Bad Update was released, the community rallied around to make the user experience somewhat more bearable. First order of business was replacing Tony Hawk American Wasteland, which had already started to hike up in price, with something a little freer like the XBLA trial of Rock Band Blitz. Fellow modders in Voxy Play Games and I Hate Comfort discovered a scripting engine bug in the game that could also be used to trigger Bad Update. Not only is the trial free, but Microsoft specifically allowed free XBLA demos to be installed from USB or even a burned DVD, which makes the exploit chain totally accessible to anyone. Second was to create a modded environment as close to LGH as possible. This came in the form of additional payloads such as Invoxy Play Games Free My Z and Byram 90's Z Unshackled. With these, a 360 exploited in this way functions largely the same as one modded with RGH, but again, only temporarily. And with the low reliability rates, you'll need a lot more patience than you'd need with a proper hard mod. But for those with a lot of patience and not a lot of soldering ability, there is now at least an option. This was a somewhat general overview of how the Bad Update exploit works, but if you're interested in even more technical information, I'll put a link in the description to Grimdoomer's blog, which has a series of in-depth articles that describe in more detail his process of figuring all of this stuff out and the various hurdles involved. Personally, I'm fascinated by stories of people conquering enormous puzzles like this. I hope you enjoyed the story too, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.
That infamous quote was made by Chris Satchell, who was working for the Xbox Advanced Technology Group.
Aisha, I'm not adding you on Discord.
In part 1 of this series, we covered the Xbox 360 and how the DVD drive was targeted by hackers with custom firmware code that exploited the drive to run backup games.
Keep being an annoying bum somewhere else.
Proved to be very popular. It did not open up the system for homebrew, which is what thrived on the original Xbox for many years before. The DVD exploits, as clever as they were, only allowed for piracy, which meant that there was no ability for the Linux community to take advantage of the system. If we compare the Sony PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, both share similar specifications. But the PlayStation 3 came out of the box with a Linux distribution, a sandbox for the development of homebrew called OtherOS. The Xbox 360, on the other hand, had nothing for the bedroom coder to play around in. Microsoft had promised the homebrew community to open up the Xbox 360 to allow for the development of homebrew, but this ended up in the form of XNA Game Studio Express. In 2006 at the launch, Peter Moore, then Vice President of Xbox, said, "XNA Game Studio Express is our first step of creating a YouTube for video games. It will give you everything you need to bring your games to life on the Xbox 360. XNA Game Studio Express was a welcome addition to the Xbox 360, but it wasn't what the homebrew community was looking for. It's essentially a framework of portable libraries that require C#.net that allowed you to build games on Windows and run them on the Xbox 360 or Windows phones. It only allowed restricted access to the hardware, and while there were some really cool games developed for it, some of which have become successful such as Bastion and Dust the Elysian, it also required a 99 VP.
Thanks.
And it certainly would not allow
Sneezing
you to
like
run
crazy.
games.
I fired the guy
Other
who was
OS on the
working for me.
PlayStation 3 came with the console and
I
was
said,
free of
fuck that
charge.
guy.
The Xbox 360 was several times more powerful than the original Xbox and came with 8 times the amount of RAM. This meant that it should make for a significantly better homebrew device for media players, emulation, and homebrew games. Many of us from the OG Xbox days, if you were around in those days, wanted to see homebrew on the Xbox 360 as the natural progression of things. But it was clear that Microsoft had invested so much time and money into the security system of the Xbox 360 that it wasn't going to be easy. And we found out very quickly that things were going to take a lot longer than anticipated. Given this, the motivation to exploit the Xbox 360 was high. There must have been a way, but Microsoft had spent millions securing the hardware. Here's a quick summary. The boot process of the Xbox 360 has a secure chain of trust, and this time, all of it is contained inside the physical CPU itself. Unlike the original Xbox, where it was possible to snoop data along the bus, nothing is sent over the bus at all. Furthermore, the Xenon CPU contains a unique key that's tied to the console itself, as well as e-fuses, which would enforce updates by blowing a fuse, and this meant that you could never downgrade back to a previous version. The Xbox 360 hypervisor sits in RAM, and it's only 128 kilobytes in size. It will only ever allow for signed code executables to run, signed that is, with Microsoft's private key. All runtime memory is encrypted, and there's no way to alter RAM, and there's certainly no way to execute it. But if you can somehow get access to the hypervisor, you can have full control of the machine. With current gen gaming, it's hard to believe anymore, but the Xbox 360 had 18 games at launch. Some were cross-gen titles with the original Xbox, others were sequels to popular franchises, and some were new IP. One game in the launch lineup that was popular was Peter Jackson's King Kong. It was a fun first-person adventure title and easy achievement points.
Okay, is there anything else for us to learn about? Ooh, yeah, this is what we're gonna learn about. What? I didn't hit that. Yeah.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder is
Yeah, we're gonna learn about Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Wonderful game. It is truly a masterpiece of surprise, a smorgasbord of new ideas. What other game features friendly talking flowers whose sole purpose is to tell you they're proud of the person that you've become? This was the 2D Mario game that all of us needed. And when I say all of us, I'm including the developers too. This game gave the dev team the perfect opportunity to break free from the past and show the world that Nintendo hadn't run out of ideas at all. But how did it all come together? Well, get ready, because this video is going to explain everything. Where the talking flowers came from, the inspiration behind the game's expressive visuals, and why on earth there's an elephant here. I've also got plenty of scrapped wonders and prototype footage for us to watch as we learn about the complete developmental history of Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Do you feel like Nintendo of Japan makes all of the best merch items, like these cute little Pikmin plushies, actual Salmon Run gear that you can wear? Or what about things from Club Nintendo's past, like the Wii Remote, TV Remote? Well, you can still find all of that for purchase on Buy. You know Buy, the amazing proxy service that lets you buy anything from Japan.
Dang it,
From
Molly.
games to figures, physical media, and so
Molly
much
is
more.
out dealing.
Buy is the place to look for Japan
Except Keith.
exclusive Nintendo merch, like this Bulborg purse that you can shove your hand cream into. Hold on to your hat, because Buy is offering a huge coupon for 2,000 yen off your first purchase. Scan this QR code or click the link in the description to get that coupon for 2,000 yen off your first purchase. Or if that's not cool enough for you, how about this? Buy is also giving away for free a talking flower plushie that actually talks. You pay nothing for the item, shipping is completely covered, and you get the greatest gift you could ever receive. Just click the giveaway link in the description
Okay.
to enter within the next
Well, I need to
couple
buy
of
stuff.
minutes. Now it's about time we learn about the development of Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
I need
To
20 of
start this video
these
off,
and
let's get to know the
20 of
team behind
these and-
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Oh, give me
starting with Takashi.
20 of these.
This game marked the 39th year he's been involved
20
in
of
the
these.
development of Mario games. He started all the way back in 1985 as the assistant director and game designer of the original Super Mario Bros. And now he's the producer of Mario Wonder. Next is Shiro Mori, who is the programming director of New Super Mario Bros. U, and then served as the full-fledged director of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. For Mario Wonder, he once again served as director. Now, we can't forget about Masanobu Sato. His first time working on a 2D Mario game was New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where he was credited with giving the Koopalings life through animation. With
Now
New Super
we're getting
Mario Bros.
weed
U,
made,
he
see?
was the lead of design
And then-
now
and then
serves as the
boom.
art director.
Not even gonna
of
worry
Mario
about it.
Wonder.
And then
there
this
were
weed
plenty
gets
of others
made.
involved on Wonder's development, including every single person involved in developing the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES. But it wasn't just development veterans of the Mario series, there were a lot of newcomers too. After all, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was the first new side-scrolling Mario game in roughly 11 years, so yeah, there was bound to be developers involved who had never even touched a Mario game like this before. Now, of course, during those 11 years, there were ports like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and there were reimaginings of classic games like Super Mario Maker, but the last 2D Mario platformer that was actually brand new was New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U in 2012. So what was going on? Why the 11-year hiatus? Were they really working on Mario Wonder for that long? No, definitely not. Tezuka had his hands full during that time working on Super Mario Run for mobile devices, as well as Super Mario Maker 1 and 2. But what really caused the hiatus was simple. Time just kind of flew by. And one day Tezuka was like, oh crap, we gotta make a new 2D Mario game. And that is how it all began.
Oh, really?
During the development of Super Mario Maker 2, Tezuka began to think about what was next for 2D Mario games. But as you'd expect, he was busy working on Super Mario Maker 2. He couldn't really do much other than think about potential ideas for the future. It wasn't until this game was complete before he could move on to his next project. Now, Mori was in a similar situation. He had to wait until New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe finished development, since that was taking up all of his time too. It wasn't until both of these games got done that development of Super Mario Bros. Wonder could actually begin in early 2019. But before we get to Mario Wonder, we gotta talk about Super Mario Maker. Now, there's a game series that's caused quite a bit of a stir over the years.
Before development on Mario Wonder began, Tezuka had noticed a similar story making its way through the internet, that Super Mario Maker had killed 2D Mario games. That the tools in the game were so expansive that it eliminated any need for Nintendo to make another side-scrolling Mario game. After all, people could practically create anything in Super Mario Maker. But news outlets failed to take one thing into account. Players could create a lot of things, but they couldn't create something out of nothing. It all had to be based on what was included in Mario Maker. That's where Nintendo had the edge. They could create something completely new, and Tezuka had gotten to thinking how they could use that edge to its full potential. They were going to do more than ever before, something completely different than anything previously seen in 2D Mario games. But even though Tezuka was confident that they could pull this off, a lot of people on the team were really worried. What if what the journalist said was true? People have already made fantastic levels in Super Mario Maker. Can we really do anything new that hasn't been made already? But Tezuka, always the optimist, was like, nah, it'll be fine. We got this. Well, if we're gonna make something completely different, it can't just look different. It has to feel different on a fundamental level. At least that's what Mori thought. During the early stages of development, he recommended that they create an entirely new game engine for Mario Wonder, completely severing ties with the new Super Mario Bros. Series, so that way the team would be able to create a new foundation for the future of 2D Mario games. Whoa, that's gonna take a lot of work, huh? On top of that, Tezuka also wanted Wonder to not just look and feel different, but offer more to the player than ever before. He wanted the game to be chock full of hidden surprises. See, back in 1985, when Super Mario Bros. Came out on the NES, it was seen as a game full of hidden surprises. You hit a block, whoa, there are coins in there. Oh, is that a mushroom? What? Whoa, Mario's big now. This game's crazy. Or at least it used to be. The stuff that made Super Mario Bros. Feel extraordinary has now become ordinary. And not just for players, but for the developers too. Tezuka wanted side-scrolling Mario games to feel extraordinary again, full of special moments, so that even if
Smoking
someone has
weed.
played Mario for decades, they would still be surprised by what they find and have a smile on their face. And to make sure that was able to happen, the team did something extraordinary themselves. They made a video game without a deadline.
So yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Instead of nailing down a schedule early in development, determining how long it should take to finish developing the game, this time for Mario Wonder, they decided to skip past all that. No deadlines. Very out of the ordinary, but Tezuka found it was necessary. In order to create a game that was truly wonderful, the team was just told to take their time. And with an ample budget being dedicated to the project, they wouldn't need to worry about time or money. And they could just spend their days crafting every small detail to their heart's content.
Speaking of small, at the beginning of development, there were only a handful of people working on Mario Wonder. And because the initial size of the team was so small, it was not gonna be easy to narrow down what they actually wanted to achieve. In other words, they needed to determine what the core of the game would actually be about and get everyone on the same page. The core of past 2D Mario games was to focus on creating fantastic courses, designed to slowly ramp up the difficulty over time. But Mario Wonder didn't share that same core design. This time their focus was on creating as many surprises as they could fit in the game. Mori wanted there to be at least one surprise per course that would put a smile on the player's face. But making that many surprises was gonna be tough. Now, wasn't there like a Mario game released on the Switch that was already full of quirky surprises? That's right, Mario Odyssey! Why don't we ask someone who was on that development team to help out over here? And that's how Koichi Hayashida became a designer on Mario Wonder. In fact, this was the first side-scrolling Mario game that he had ever worked on. Previously, he's been known as being the main programmer of Super Mario Sunshine, the level designer for Super Mario Galaxy, director of 3D World, and recently, a producer on the Super Mario Odyssey team. Hayashida got involved in Mario Wonder in order to provide valuable insight from his time developing 3D Mario games, which are often considered the more out-there Mario titles, full of new ideas like water jetpacks or walking around balls in space, and the Mario Wonder team was extremely grateful for the help. After all, they were going through what they called a crisis.
Because Nintendo went 11 years without a new side-scrolling Mario game, it's not far-fetched to think that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to be a lot of people's first 2D Mario platformer. So, the developers wanted to appeal to those beginners. But to do that, they're gonna need some fresh insight. How would someone who had never played a 2D Mario game play one in this day and age? And they were able to get that insight thanks to Tezuka's first ever mobile game that he served as director, Super Mario Run.
Now, I know Super Mario Run is an auto-scroller. It's not exactly the same as a side-scrolling Mario game, but it was close enough in gameplay style. And a big bonus is that a lot of beginner players from around the world just decided to download the game on their phone because it had that cute Mario guy in it. They weren't advanced Mario players. But instead of going all the way around the world asking beginner players what they thought of the game, they actually just had to ask one. A developer of Super Mario Run had the insight that the team needed already. This developer was a complete beginner at 2D Mario games and told Tezuka that they were disappointed playing Mario Run because they couldn't get past the mushrooms in World 1-3. This meant they were effectively locked out of the entire rest of the game because you have to beat every course in order to progress. So if you can't beat one, tough luck, no more game for you. Tezuka was caught off guard by this comment. He didn't even realize that this course in Mario Run was even that hard to begin with. It was only the first world. And he also didn't realize that having every level required to be beaten in order to beat the game had effectively blocked that player from enjoying any more of the game unless they got good. So, while developing Mario Wonder, the team decided that they didn't want to design a 2D Mario game like that anymore. They wanted all players of all skill levels to be able to progress through the game to the very end. And how would they do that? By doing things just like Super Mario Odyssey did, giving players the freedom to pick and choose what they wanted to do in the order of their choosing. Odyssey accomplished this by allowing players to choose which moons they wanted to grab and kept them moving through the storyline by not requiring them to collect all the moons in a kingdom in order to progress. This is another reason why Hayashida was such a valuable member of the Mario Wonder team, since 3D Mario games have always been specifically designed to get every player, regardless of skill level, to the end of the game. So instead of having players complete courses in order with maybe an alternate path here and there,
That's a
this
lot to
time we're
learn.
going to give them way more freedom in Mario Wonder. So now getting into a castle just requires you to collect Wonder Seeds, which you can collect however you like. Want to play on the easiest courses and completely skip the hard ones? Go for it. Here, let me even show you the difficulty level and a photo of the course before you start it, just to see if that's the one you want to play. Missing just one more seed to progress and you don't want to go out and find it? Just buy one from the shop instead of searching for it. With these fundamental changes, you are now able to complete a 2D Mario game your way. Something that really only existed in 3D Mario titles. And the Mario Wonder team was so proud of this design choice. And you know what? Since we're already making changes to the fundamental formula of the game, do we really need lives? Or a timer? They evaluated everything in this early stage of development. They didn't remove everything. Lives, for instance, didn't get scrapped, but they weren't afraid to throw away even major staples of the series, like the timer, which was only saved for specific levels in the final game. And with that, they now had a foundation ready to be built upon. It was time to finally bring 2D Mario games into the modern age, and the team was extremely proud of what they had built so far.
Alrighty, they got that foundation ready, and that's so great. But you know what we don't have yet? Any surprises. The team wanted to add tons of them to the game, so it's about time we start thinking up some ideas. But at this point in development, the idea of wonder flowers and wonder effects, yeah, none of that had been thought up yet. Instead, focus was on making a surprising power-up. It's kind of a tradition in 2D Mario games to have the game come with a new power-up. Like Super Mario Bros. 3 had the Tanuki suit, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii had the propeller mushroom. So what would this new game feature? Elephants. It was an obvious choice to add elephants into Mario Wonder. And I'm not joking, it really was. Let me explain.
See, early on in development, the team was discussing what kind of interesting game mechanics they wanted to add into this new Mario game. Someone on the team suggested having a power-up that would make the player's body bigger, which in turn would make stomping enemies, hitting blocks, and collecting coins easier. Around that same time, there were also two other separate ideas being thrown around too. One was giving the player the ability to destroy blocks from the side, and the other idea was the ability to spray water, so that way you can help withered flowers bloom. Now, what kind of power-up would give Mario a bigger body, the ability to break blocks from the side, and allow him to spray water? The team thought up various power-ups that would fulfill one or two of these ideas, but Mori was hit with inspiration. One power-up to fulfill all the ideas. An elephant. But those three abilities weren't all Elephant Mario could originally do. There was also another idea that ended up getting scrapped. One that allowed players to blow up shells with their trunk in order to make them bigger. We even have development footage of this idea in action. There was a lot of deliberation between team members on whether or not this would actually make the game more interesting, and in the end, yeah, they decided that it wouldn't and scrapped it. But even if it didn't end up getting in, there are still big shells in the final game that Elephant Mario can grab and throw. You just can't make shells big yourself. And fun fact, because Elephant Mario is so big, the team was forced to take a long, hard look at another staple of the 2D Mario series, one that pretty much everyone hates: bumping into each other in multiplayer. They had planned to include collisions between players just like in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but after seeing how much stress it would cause players who were just trying to jump on a tiny platform with three other giant elephants in the way, they took a leap of faith and removed it. And you know what? It was the right call, and they never looked back.
As I mentioned before, the idea of the elephant power-up came into the picture early on, before they had come up with the concept of wonder effects. But Elephant Mario did steer them in the direction of wonders, thanks to a little help from the world-famous musical genius of the Mario series, Koji Kondo.
While they were experimenting with Elephant
The genius.
water spraying ability, Kondo had an idea. Wouldn't it be cool if we put Mario in a giant rainstorm, like transformed the entire screen into a wet wonderland. And if you've played Mario Wonder, you'll remember that this idea did make it into the final game. But more importantly, this was the first time someone had mentioned the idea of dramatically transforming what's on screen midway through a level. That's what Wonder Effects are all about. But since Kondo presented this rainstorm idea before Wonder Effects had been thought up, it was just treated as an interesting idea and put on the back burner. So when did Wonder Effects get thought up then? The idea of having a Wonder Flower transform the entire course in front of your very eyes. Well, first it was Sato who brought up the idea of creating Wonder Flowers. Well, it wasn't actually a Wonder Flower back then, it was a mushroom originally, which you can see in this concept art. But not only did it not look like a Wonder Flower, it didn't quite act like one either. Instead of transforming the course, causing things to go wacky and wild, it would just transport you to a new world. I'm imagining something like the potion doors in Super Mario Bros. 2 sending you into subspace, or maybe instead of that, it sent you somewhere entirely different. But either way, after showing Tezuka a prototype of this idea, he noticed something. This is pretty much exactly the same as just going down a pipe and warping somewhere else. This isn't different enough from the status quo. Here's an idea. What if instead of warping to a new place, we have it where the place you're already in gets warped? Like the whole course transforms into something quirky right in front of you. Okay, alright, that's interesting. Morty thought it sounded cool, but had no idea how they would actually pull that off. And Hayashida agreed. What would transforming a course even look like? Wait a minute. They shuffled through their meeting notes and found a funny idea that the team had earlier, back when they were just trying to think of things that would surprise players. Back then, someone had the idea of creating bendable, moving pipes. Right then and there, they made a prototype to see how it would look, and this video is the actual prototype that they made. And it's perfect. I'm sure you recognize the movement. It's absolutely iconic and is used in tons of trailers for Mario Wonder. All of that came from this prototype. This one meeting with Tezuka changed everything. Instead of just sending Mario to a new area, now they were going to transform the entire course. This was huge. They finally found out what they wanted to achieve, what the core of Super Mario Bros. Wonder was going to be. And that core was wonders.
Throughout the development of Mario Wonder, the team's mantra was to make big changes. And this core idea of huge wonder effects that completely changed the course itself, yeah, I'd say that captures the mantra perfectly. But of course, big changes requires a big amount of work. Morty thought that wonders were a great idea to use on like 1 or 2 courses, but Tezuka had a different plan. He figured if we're gonna do this, might as well go all the way, and let's make wonders for every single main course in the game. Now, Morty did go on record saying that he wanted at least 1 surprise per course, but a new unique wonder effect that completely changes everything from level design to gameplay mechanics, that's impossible. That's stupid. And that's what he really thought.
Well, alright, if we're gonna do this, 1 wonder effect per course, we're gonna need a lot more ideas. Having pipes wiggling around is cute, but that's just one idea. You know what we need? Brainstorming sessions. Let's grab a bunch of sticky notes, get everyone involved, and I mean everyone on the team, regardless of role, and we're just gonna all go wild. They wrote over 2,000 ideas on sticky notes with absolutely no limits on what type of wonders the team could present. Ideas range from surfing Mario, unicycle Mario, long leg Mario, to Mario being Yoshi's favorite fruit and having to dodge a barrage of tongues. As you can see, some of these ideas are extremely detailed, while others, like this, were not. This was an idea that came from a first-year programmer at Nintendo, and the note just says, "A wonder quiz starts." That's it, no other info, and even so, it made its way into the final game. Coach Kondo also had some ideas to share. Really wacky ideas. In his mind, he needed to be the one to take things to the extreme in these brainstorming sessions, and he did. His idea was to have a life-size, live-action guy dressed as Mario and playable in the game. He'd hum along to the music, and when he jumped, he'd go boing. The backgrounds and characters in the course would also become real. Horrifyingly fun stuff. Now, unfortunately, this idea did not make it into the final game. Mostly because the team wasn't sure how this wonder effect would change any gameplay elements. Things just looked different. Not to mention, it would be a lot of work to pull it off. But it was such an interesting idea, one that they did not want to go to waste. So while a life-size human Mario didn't end up making it in, you could unlock the sound-off badge in the final game, which has real human voices doing all the sound effects, including a little while jumping. And you know who did the voice? Kondo himself. It's his wild idea.
But even though the team was told to go wild with the wonder effects, they couldn't go too crazy. Players have a sense of what Mario games should be. The gameplay fundamentals have gotta stay the same, or else you're gonna lose my trust. Imagine if all of a sudden you could walk through a pipe, right? Like it wasn't solid. Next time you come across a pipe over some spikes, you're not gonna want to jump on it because you're not sure if it's actually going to be solid. It was crucial with all this weirdness going on that there had to be some level of predictability for the player to grasp onto. So, with this limitation in mind, it was time to start narrowing down the 2,000 plus ideas they had lying around their office.
Now, as you could probably guess, narrowing down over 2,000 ideas was going to be difficult. So, to make things easier, the team decided that they needed to make a system with simple rules that Wonder Effects would have to follow. If an idea failed any of these rules, it was scrapped. So, what were those rules? Well, first, there had to be a connection between the actual course and the wonder. For example, if the course's Wonder Effect turns Mario into a big balloon, then the level needed to feature something like balloon enemies, so that way the Wonder Effect didn't feel entirely random. Second, the Wonder Effect must be something that players didn't already have the ability to do. It had to be fresh and new. And lastly, the idea had to be simple to explain. If it was too complex to explain in a single short phrase, it was scrapped. After all, players need to be able to quickly understand what's going on once things start to go crazy. If an idea fulfilled all those criteria, the team would then begin making prototypes of it in the Wonder Prototype meetings, so that way they could see how the idea would look in action. These prototypes were created by what they called testing teams, which consisted of one programmer, one game designer, one artist, and one sound engineer. When necessary, they would even make placeholder sounds and graphics on the spot, just so that way they could get the full picture of how the Wonder Effect would look in practice. Once the prototype was made, everyone would come together to play them. There, the team members had the opportunity to throw out even more ideas to add on top of existing ones. That way they could add layers to these Wonder Effects to make them multifaceted in a way that would truly surprise the players.
Now, what if I told you I have actual screenshots of these Wonder prototypes? No, my dad doesn't work at Nintendo. I grabbed them from a GDC talk that Tezuka and Mori did in 2024. It's all about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I watched the entire talk so I could bring you the most interesting info. Now, take a look at this.
These are screenshots of actual prototypes that were made during the team's Wonder Prototype meetings, and you'll notice a few of them didn't make it into the final game. In fact, over half the prototypes that the testing teams made ended up being scrapped. For instance, here's Surfing Mario, which we saw earlier on a sticky note. It didn't make it into the final game, but dang does it look incredible. And then there's these floating pegs. I don't remember any Wonder Effect looking quite like this. We've also got an extremely small Mario walking on a Goomba, and this extremely claustrophobic area with piranha planes. I'm not even sure how you get past this. Mario's definitely stuck. I don't have any memory of these making it into the final game in this form, but I do remember seeing Bull Rush Stampede, which is great, because that means we can actually compare this prototype screenshot to its final version. It looks simplistic, huh? But that's to be expected, it's a prototype after all. It's just the basics to see if an idea is actually fun to play. And the team found that this prototype of Bull Rush Stampede was fun to play, but just a bit too simple. That's why they decided to go a bit further with it by having the Stampede knock over everything in its path, including the flagpole, to surprise the player. And speaking of simple, I've seen a lot of prototypes in my day, but this one for Beyond Mario, this one's the most simplistic I've ever seen. Here's the sticky note for the idea, which, yeah, is about as simple as the prototype itself. It's called Silhouette Mario, and it did make it into the final game, but not before getting a little bit of spice added to it, with the addition of this sticky note idea. Both of them together created the Beyond Mario Wonder effect that we know and love today. But I don't just have prototype screenshots, we've also got prototype videos. But before we watch one, let me give you a bit of context. The first video that we're going to see is a prototype of Rolling Ball
Selling the
Hall.
weed.
In that course, the Wonder Effect causes the entire place to tilt, and a giant spiked ball starts rolling towards the player while they have to try to collect 5 Wonder tokens. Now here's the sticky note of the idea that led to this Wonder Effect, and here is the actual prototype that was made for it. First, you'll notice that this prototype takes place in Pipe Rock Plateau, or at least that's what I'm assuming, because there's grass here. Different looking grass, but grass all the same. The final version takes place in the sun-baked desert, but to be fair, this is a prototype, so the location shown here isn't necessarily where it was planned to be in the final game. A lot of this art was temporary, without any polish, which makes things look quite different. Speaking of which, check out Mario. He looks very different from both the small Mario and Super Mario models they're used in the retail build of the game. Alright, let's go collect that Wonder Flower. Or, I'm sorry, it's not a flower here, it's just a question mark. Definitely a placeholder. The sound when collecting the Wonder question mark is very similar to the final version, but the mixing is way different, with the person screaming Wonder being way louder in this version compared to the final game. So we got the Wonder, the place is all tilted, that's awesome. But now I want to focus on the UI because there is a lot to unpack here. Sure, it's got a place for the regular coins, purple coins, and lives, but then we've got a flag, which I guess was there to mark when you've reached the checkpoint flag or not. Then there's these circles, maybe meant to hold your collected power-ups. If that's actually what it is, then it looks like you could originally hold 3 items at once in single player, compared to the final version which only lets you hold as many items as there are players. So you can't hold 3 items unless you're playing with 3 players. Actually wait, I've got a different theory. I bet these held the 3 flower coins that you collect in each course, because it kind of looks like there's a 10 on top of the circular outline, which is the number that shows on the flower coins and inside the outline shown in the final game. That would make the most sense to me. Going back to the prototype UI, it's time to ask the big question. What the heck is this purple gem? And what is the bendy arrow that's next to it? Maybe the bendy icon is based on one of the bendy pipes? And maybe that gem is like an early Wonder Seed, or maybe a Wonder Token? I don't know. But I do have an educated guess. While I was editing this video, I actually found a picture of them in a prototype screenshot, and not just one, but 2 of them. Since there are more than one in a single level, these gems acting as early Wonder tokens seems to have the most validity. But I can't say for sure. I'd love to hear your theories in the comments on what these gems might have been. The UI also showcases a gameplay feature that ended up getting completely scrapped: your score. Scores have been a fundamental part of 2D Mario games for a long time, but it was completely absent in Mario Wonder. Instead of seeing points you get whenever you defeat an enemy, now you just see good and great. In this prototype though, your score takes up permanent screen real estate, and it even shows you the points you get when defeating enemies too. But that's still not all the UI that we can see. We also get a glimpse at some debug stuff too. It shows up on the bottom left when collecting the Wonder question mark, where it lists the event, its file name, among various other things. And on the top right, we can also see information on what prototype is being played currently. and what area it's taking place in. Alright, now that we've completely dissected that prototype footage, what if I told you there was one more? And this wonder effect never made it into the final game at all. It's a real interesting one where you get turned into Pixel Mario with a giant head made out of blocks, edible blocks. Your goal is to make sure your head doesn't get eaten by the noshers that are flying around everywhere. Pretty cool, right? Why did it get scrapped? Well, the reason is because the team couldn't think of a viable strategy to actually avoid the enemies. Jumping around, trying to juke them, didn't really end up working. So in the end, it just boiled down to asking the player to run as quickly as possible to the end of the course. In other words, it looks and sounds more interesting than it is to actually play. But I'll say, it does look very interesting regardless.
You know what? I just realized something. I've gotten this far into the video and I haven't even talked about how absolutely gorgeous this game looks. It's beautiful. But I've got a little secret for you. Even though it's a 2D game, did you know that it actually uses 3D models? Yeah, not really a shock, right? Nintendo's been using 3D models for 2D Mario games since 2006, when New Super Mario Bros. Released on the DS. And that was a big deal back then, a full-blown evolution of the series. And I even made a video about the development of New Super Mario Bros. You should probably check that out after this video. But after that initial evolution, Nintendo didn't really push the idea much further. There isn't a whole lot of visual difference between the 6 games in the New Super Mario Bros. Series. People were getting bored. It was time to innovate.
The decision to innovate how Mario Wonder looks was decided early on in development. The team looked for ways to make the game more visually engaging by utilizing the flexibility of 3D models to a higher degree than before. After all, the Switch has more than enough power to handle a 2D Mario game. So they decided to use that extra power to push visual boundaries by adding more than double the amount of animations compared to previous games, all of which use more than double the amount of joints. The more joints they used, the greater variety of movements and facial expressions they could create. But why go to all this trouble? Well, it was done to add more realness to the gameplay. Not trying to make the game look more realistic, but instead making the characters react more realistically to their environment, in order to immerse the player in the world even more. But after creating these new, charming facial expressions, they realized there was an issue they hadn't considered. Mario's nose is absolutely massive, and it was covering his face. Back in the NES days, this giant nose was done out of necessity, in order to make it easier to see what direction Mario was facing. But now it was a problem. If they had Mario completely facing the direction he was moving, you wouldn't be able to see all those cute facial expressions. But if you turn him to face the screen too much, it'll be harder to distinguish the direction you're facing. So here's what they ended up doing. They put the mouth on the side of his face with the nose cranked all the way over there. They also messed with the rest of his body too, turning it slightly towards the camera. Looking at Mario in-game, he looks fantastic. But from this angle, not so much. But hey, you'll never see him at this angle in normal gameplay, so whatever. Cut, print, put it in the game. But it wasn't just our playable characters that got a redesign. Enemies also saw substantial upgrades too, with more expressions than ever before. The team knew that they couldn't change the characters' behaviors, but giving them more reactions still made them feel new all over again. Like Goombas, for instance. Look how annoyed he is that he fell into this hole. Isn't that so freaking cute? Oh, and fun fact, this annoyed Goomba expression was created by the animators before there was anything for him to get annoyed about. So when the level designers were making the game's courses, they wanted to make sure that Goombas had a place to get stuck, so that way the animation would play. This is why Tezuka knew it was important for every part of the team to stay connected with each other throughout development. If the level designers didn't create this moment here for the Goomba's annoyed expression to play right in front of the player, it could have easily been missed. Or if the level designers just didn't think about it and didn't put any holes for him to fall into, this animation could have gone completely unused. But anyway, it wasn't just Goombas that got some well-deserved love, they also gave some to the Koopas, with an entirely new variety, the Rolla Koopas, a magenta Koopa with roller skates on. The idea for Roller Koopas came about during a brainstorming session, like most ideas in this game. Someone mentioned how Super Mario World featured brand new unshelled Koopas and Cape Koopas. Back then, Nintendo was transitioning from the NES to the more powerful SNES, and the developers of Super Mario World wanted to evolve the Koopa Troopa along with the transition. The developers of Mario Wonder wanted to do the same thing, and with that goal in mind, one of the designers had the idea of giving them roller skates. And here's some of that concept art. Like I said before, the final version of this enemy is magenta, but it looks like originally it was going to be green. Maybe they changed them to be a more distinct color just to make sure it was easy to notice this guy is not a normal Koopa Troopa. After all, they move a lot faster, so you gotta stay on your toes and know when they're coming. There were a couple more early designs for Roller Koopas that didn't make the cut, like this one with the helmet, elbow pads, and knee pads. Very safe, very nice. And then there's the American one.
Oh my gosh.
Go. Hot dogs.
American.
Now, one of Mario Wonder's big features is the variety of characters that you get to play as. You've got Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yellow Toad, Blue Toad, Toadette, 4 different kinds of Yoshis, and Nabbit. That makes 12 playable characters in total. That is the most variety of any 2D Mario game ever, as long as you don't count Super Mario Maker. That game technically had over 150 unique costume Marios, like a Wii Balance Board, a realistic pigeon, and of course Shaun the Sheep.
12 playable characters is still quite a lot for a game like this. Some of them, like the Yoshis and Nabbit, were designed for players who might need extra assistance playing the game since they don't take damage. But other than them, every other playable character controls exactly the same, which may seem a bit strange when you think about it. What about Luigi's high jump or Peach's floating ability? Why did they get rid of those specific character quirks? Well, that's because the development team wanted players to be able to pick their favorite character without having to worry about missing a potential secret just because they picked the wrong character. But those quirky abilities are just so iconic and really fun gameplay elements, so it'd be a shame just to remove them. What if we allowed the player to choose what ability they want to use and then pair it with the character they want to play as?
Right.
Have the players pick their preferred ability at the beginning of each level and
Oh yeah.
we'll call it badges. Mori decided to take charge of spearheading the idea of badges, making it his personal project. The final game has over 20 badges, but there were more
Badges, I need the badges, I need the badges.
variety of badges, with some based on classic moves like Peach's floating ability becoming the parachute cap badge, and others for support to help make things easier, like with the safety bounce badge, which just bounces you right out of pits. And you know what? While we're at it, we might as well add some badges that purposely make the game harder, like the Jet Run badge, where you literally can't stop running. This allowed players to essentially customize their difficulty level however they saw fit. And this idea of a custom difficulty setting was something that Tezuka wanted to see included in the game for a while. But Tezuka's idea wasn't to allow the player to pick their difficulty, but instead have it happen on the fly in real time. Initially, to help test this idea, he asked the team if they could add a debug slider on screen, so that way they'd be able to change the difficulty of the level in the middle of the level. But they decided against doing that, instead focusing on badges. What Tezuka's idea would have looked like in practice, I don't know. But when he mentioned the idea in an interview, it seemed like he hadn't quite given up on it yet. So maybe in the next game we may see a real-time difficulty adjustment happening as you play through the game, or maybe it'll never happen. We'll just have to wait and see. As you've seen throughout this video, Tezuka was full of ideas throughout development, and the real-time difficulty adjustment was just one of several that was considered impossible.
Money.
Another one of these impossible ideas was having live commentary throughout the entire game. Mori heard Tezuka's idea and thought to himself, man, I have absolutely no idea what this man's talking about. Like, sports commentary? Yeah, that was basically it. So, okay, let's give it a try. And that first serious attempt at having a live commentary in the game took 6 months to put together. It had several voices commentating on what the player was doing on screen, but it felt a little weird. A disembodied voice randomly saying, wow, Mario, look at that jump. That was very nice. Yeah, I know. Tezuka was a big fan though. He liked how it was turning out, but the team was split. Half thought it was good and the other half did not like it. They even had customization options to tweak the voice to your liking. You had the default one, which was like a generic newscaster, and then there was the tsundere option. And I know you could probably guess this already, but the playtesters were quite drawn to the tsundere commentary, with quite a few people switching to it versus the newscaster one. But if they were going to have multiple options for players to pick, that would mean they'd have to record just a massive amount of lines. That would be way too much work, so the idea was scrapped, but not completely. I mean, wouldn't it be a shame to just scrap 6 months of work like that? So instead of completely scrapping everything, they decided to bring a new person onto their team whose sole role was just to puzzle out how to make this commentary feature work. That was their full-time job. But as I've said before, they've already scrapped tons of ideas at this point. Why didn't Tezuka want to give up on this one? Well, in the past, while making previous Mario games, Tezuka had discovered that players really like getting praised, even for small things. That's why he added that little clapping sound that plays whenever you collect a group of coins in New Super Mario Bros. U. It just makes players feel more immersed, like the world is able to see what you're doing and respond back to you. But he wanted to take it to the next level in Mario Wonder, having an actual person praise you for your accomplishments and maybe even give you a sympathy for difficult moments. That's what was going through his head when he suggested the commentary system, but how in the world are we going to make this actually work? Well, around the time that they brought this new person on board, another part of the team was discussing a different question. Where in the world is this game taking place? They were looking through different ideas, but it seemed like they were leaning towards it being a place called the Flower Kingdom. That's when an idea took shape. What if we made the commentators talking flowers? Having an actual character talk to you on screen makes it feel more personal than just a random voiceover. Plus, you'd only need to have one voice actor, so that saves a lot of time. And honestly, it just feels like something you would actually see in the Mario universe, so they went for it and ended up creating the greatest character the human race has ever had the privilege to encounter.
Listening to that flower is one of the simple joys in life. In fact, everything in Mario Wonder is a joy to listen to. From the beautiful soundtrack to the little bing sound that plays whenever you jump, the sound design is just excellent. And you can attribute that to the game's incredible sound team, who is involved in the development of Mario Wonder more than any other game in the Mario series.
See, the way that it typically works is that the sound team will join in at the latter half of development. That way they can come in when the game's visual style has been pretty much set, giving them better context on what kind of sounds they should create.
I've been waiting for this.
Because of this choice, there
I've
was
been waiting to buy horse semen. Give me the
Even
horse
though the
semen.
sound engineers were treated as
I have horse
come
semen.
up with any ideas they had.
I had to
because
announce
they've
that
been
very
so
loudly. I have
development
purchased a
process,
quantity
there
of
wasn't
horse
really much they
semen.
could do to shape the game.
Horse
Unless it was something small.
semen.
Like when Kondo suggested having enemies jump and dance to the music in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. The only reason they could do that was because it wasn't that difficult to add in, even if it was towards the end of development. Kondo had always hoped to do more though. Specifically, he wanted to have a course in a Mario game that had visuals changing in response to music, like maybe making an entire course that was just a whole musical number. But there was never a chance to do that until now. Because this time, the sound team was involved even in the early stages of Mario Wonder's development. So team, anyone interested in making that musical number as a Wonder effect? We're making a bunch of other prototypes anyway, might as well try this one too. It started out simple, just trying to sync up piranha plants coming out of their pipes to the music, but over time it became more complex, with course designers making both pipes and platforms move in time with the song too. It was looking cool, working well, but it wasn't easy getting the idea off the ground. The course designers didn't know much about beats and rhythms, and the sound team didn't know much about course design either. So much time was spent going back and forth between the teams, doing tiny adjustments just to make sure things were in rhythm. But there was a silver lining. Working with a team that they didn't normally collaborate much with gave them a better understanding of what the other side goes through. And seeing the results of their combined efforts, they felt inspired and continued to add more into this musical number. with more enemies dancing to the music and more stage pieces moving around to create Piranha Plants on Parade. And after seeing all the dancing enemies on screen, it gave Kondo another idea. He wanted to dance too, as Mario. That's how the Ninja Jump Party was born, an entire course designed to have you, the player, jump to the beat as well.
Now, a big feature of Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the addition of online multiplayer. But the way it was implemented wasn't quite the same as just going around with your online friends and playing through the game. It was a bit more unique. In Mario Wonder, random players from around the world show up as shadows to help you out. And the reason it was done this way was to create what the development team called a casual connection.
So what the heck does casual connection even mean? Well, it means that the online multiplayer was designed so that way no one could harm your gaming experience. The only thing people online can do is help you out, like by giving you items or placing standees to revive you. They didn't want to make online multiplayer competitive, which can leave beginner players feeling frustrated, and having it be co-op can be frustrating for skilled players who might be matched with a literal infant holding a controller backwards. Speaking of matchmaking, all of that had to work seamlessly in the background. That is something the team was very certain about. They did not want people waiting around trying to get into courses if they have the online feature enabled. This casual online connection was planned since the very beginning of development, and it is one of the reasons why there is such a large variety of characters to choose from. That way in online multiplayer, you're not just gonna see a bunch of Marios. There'll be some variety to the characters. The world maps were also designed to be nice and big in order to accommodate players from all around the world running together. But it wasn't just online multiplayer that was a focus early on. Local multiplayer was also heavily tweaked too, with a lot of changes to make sure that this would be the best 2D Mario game to play together with couch co-op. As I said before, one thing they did was remove collision to make things less stressful, and another thing was making sure there were 2 princesses in Mario Wonder. This was a big deal to Mori. It was his personal mission because his 2 daughters would constantly fight over who would be the princess in past Mario games. Now that we've got Daisy, they could both be a princess. Their household was safe. The live system was also completely redone for local multiplayer, with all 1-ups being shared with the group. That way, if there's a person in your group who keeps falling into pits, they won't be forced to sit in silence after they lose all their lives, while all of their other friends continue having fun, not even noticing that they're gone. But since lives were going to be shared now, the team didn't want there to be frustration if one of your friends just keeps wasting all of your lives. That's why they added in the ghost mechanic. That way these players could still be saved without losing anything, so long as the other players are quick and nimble enough to save them.
At this point, the team had pretty much reinvented and refined everything in Mario Wonder. But even till the very end, they were still adjusting the courses to make sure everything felt just right. You could have all the wacky ideas and surprises in the world, but if the courses aren't fun, neither is the game.
There we
The
go.
development team was dedicated to making sure
We've
that
done
Super
it.
Mario Bros. Wonder
We've
was
emptied
the best it could possibly
the place.
And now,
And we now have automatic
show
weed.
the world. Well, we gotta make the box art first, right?
Now that the game was near completion, it was time to create the promotional material.
$44.
This started around a year before Mario Wonder's release, so close to the end of 2022.
What's
Believe
up,
it or not,
Critical?
Nintendo's official website has an article about this process written by
Alright,
graphic
so
designer
the golden skateboard
This
is
person was behind
1500.
Mario Wonder's
We'll get that
art,
eventually.
which includes the game's box art, posters, advertisements for retail stores, etc. Ito states in the article that they were allowed to play the game even before it had finished being developed. They even got to sit down with some of the developers to listen to what the team considered to be the most iconic parts of the game. They saw that it was filled with wonder, a sense of adventure through a mysterious world, all while staying grounded in that traditional 2D Mario charm. They wanted to make promotional art based on all of those themes, and here's some of the prototype designs. They were a bit torn between making Elephant Mario the main focus or making Wonders take the focus instead, and that logo, yeah, it looks quite a bit different compared to the final design. Some of the characters in the background also look different because their renders are just lifted from older New Super Mario Bros. Games. But of course, that's because this is a prototype. The final version of the box art is just chef's kiss, with Mario facing the right to showcase the side-scrolling nature of the game while holding the Wonder Flower and popping out of the world to show that he's going to be visiting a mysterious, unknown land. With the game, box art, and everything else ready to go, it was time to finally show this new 2D Mario game to the world. On June 21st, 2023, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was announced in the June 2023 Nintendo Direct, showcasing a couple minutes of gameplay and ending with that iconic Elephant Mario reveal. Then on August 31st, we got an entire Direct dedicated to the game, with a demo version available to play at the Nintendo Live event starting on September 1st. I was even there and got to play the demo with my wife. It was actually incredible. It was amazing. Then, a month later, on October 7th, a kiosk demo was sent to retail stores for everyone to play. And finally, on October 20th, 2023, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was released to the public. And it was beautiful.
When things were all said and done, the team took a look back at some of the notes that Sato had wrote during development. These notes were all things that Tezuka had said during their meetings that the team didn't want to forget. Things like this: don't simply replace things, change the entire approach, and find new inspirations. The team thought about Mario Wonder, the game they had poured their heart and soul into, and realized that, yeah, we really did it. We changed our approach and made something brand new. Even when things seemed impossible, the team made it through together, and they created something truly special. And this is only the beginning. They've built the foundation for an entirely new generation of 2D Mario games. The future's bright, and I can't wait to see what they create next.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you want to support Beta 64 and see a special behind the scenes on this video, you gotta join the Patreon, and you can even get your name alongside these lovely producers as well. I'll see you next month for another video. Bye-bye.
Work faster, dude. Work faster.
Mario Party is one of the most iconic video game series of all time. At every stage of my life, there was a huge Mario Party craze.
Now you
With
each
Mario
get a
Party
packaging
6's
machine.
microphone on the GameCube that didn't really work, but we used it anyway.
If you're both packaging, maybe weed gets made twice as fast.
Yes.
There we go. Weed gets made twice as fast. With both of you making weed all day long. And then if I hire another chump, all he's going to do is shuffle this weed around so that the machine makes new weed. And I think we've got the super weed house built.
Personal favorite.
Forever.
Super Mario Party.
Clean it all up. Now I can start making crack.
My gaming experience is really started
Hey, what's up?
in the game.
Give me your money.
Era. I never had a chance to play the original Nintendo.
She is
64
always
Mario
dressed
Party,
like
which
slut.
was the hot new thing, and while it was also getting
Lady, you're always dressed like slut. Maybe don't dress like slut. Even though you're baller slut with chain, you're still dressed like slut.
On this episode of Beta 64,
I'm a badass.
the classics, and check
Yeah,
out
you're
exactly
badass
how the Mario Party
wearing
series
bra and jacket.
while we look at the development.
Look like a female Terminator.
Mario Party began development in 1996, but not under the name Mario Party. No, it was originally going to be called Mario Board, since it was specifically intended to be a virtual board game featuring Mario. This wasn't intended to just be like a mini-game compilation party game.
Are you Benji?
The board
Hey,
itself
Benji, you're the one
was
I wanted.
Actual focus here.
Take this,
And they wanted
and
that
take
board
this.
fun to look at, and were surprised
give me your money.
very little restrictions on what they could do with the Mario character and universe, so long as they preserved that Mario style. A quirky, fun, flashy game that could be played with the whole family, that was the intent throughout development. They imagined the whole family gathered around in front of the TV during the New Year's holidays, playing Mario Board, which is actually why every single one of the mainline games up until Mario Party 8 were released in Japan just in time for the holiday season. And since this was made for families to play together, they wanted to make things less reliant on skill. I mean, if you pit me against a child in Mario Kart, I will crush them without mercy. There is nothing I can do to stop that. So to prevent that from happening, they decided to add in a lot of luck-based minigames, bonus stars, basically anything they could think of to even the playing field. That way non-gamers had a chance. And parents also wouldn't have to lose on purpose to keep their children from screaming and crying saying this was the worst Christmas of their lives.
Oh,
Now, speaking
really?
of those mini-games, let me tell you something.
That's what
Everything
happened?
was on the table. They would come up with hundreds of ideas for minigames and only pick a few to actually use. Any of the leftovers would then be saved to be used in the next game. Yeah, that's right. It seems from the very beginning they were open to making Mario Party into a series, saving ideas for when the next game came about, which wasn't very long. Mario Party 2 was released less than a year after the first game, but that's only because they already had the basis of what the game would be, as well as a bunch of assets already been made. Because Mario Party 1 was made from scratch, the original game took 2 years to develop before being released on December 18th, 1998 in Japan, which of course is right around the holiday season.
But here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure they
But no,
were
the thing
planning
isn't there. I know the thing, and the thing is orange and covered in rocks, and you're not the thing. I want that to be quite honest, guy who say, here's the thing. You are not the thing. The thing is orange.
Related assets.
Alright,
See, at that time in Nintendo's history, they were planning on releasing expansions for Nintendo 64.
Alright, if I want
like
you
they
to
did
grow
for
more
F-Zero
weed,
X.
I need to give you more
If you had bought
seed.
the F-Zero X expansion
I
kit, you
must
would have
spread
gotten
my
a
seed
track,
for
a
you to
course
weed.
editor, machine creator, and a
These
stereo
things?
soundtrack.
Yeah.
That was the first of several planned expansions for Nintendo 64 games, assuming that the 64
music.
disk drive was a success. It was not. There are several unused graphics related to a potential expansion for
Hey, here's
Mario
more weed.
Party, and the game can even detect
The
if you have a
weed
disk
is
drive
weeding.
inserted into the bottom of the console.
Machine is machining.
We do know that
I had
this
to
ID was
pull out the new weed because the
Japan,
process was
LTE,
stopped by the
US,
machine
Europe.
not
We
machining.
never got
So
any
sorry.
details about what this post
Alright,
disc
that being
would
said, we had like
eventually added to
all
the
of
game.
this.
The only thing that we got post-release was a nice little promotional website that outlined the features of Mario Party. There are no mentions of an expansion here, but we do get some cute little images, including these character portraits under the minigames section. Why do I bring this up? Guess what? They are different from their final counterparts. And not just one, all of them. And that's not all. We also have footage of these early icons in the Nintendo 64 1998-1999 new software introduction video feed. In this video, we get to see the icons in action and also get a different version of the Peach portrait, which doesn't appear in the final game either. We can also see that the icons are rounder than the final version, plus a ton more stuff. So without further ado, let's boot up Mario Party and see what changes there are. Or, I'm sorry, let's boot up Mario Board. Okay, so the first difference, besides the name, is how the logo slams onto the screen in the early footage. The final game just has it where it slowly and beautifully, I might add, builds the logo from a spinning star and ribbons. The logos look quite different side by side, and the kanji under the logo in the early footage just says temporary. So maybe from the beginning, Mario Board wasn't completely settled on for the game's name. Now, when the game starts, all the characters jump out of their pipes, landing on the ground, which makes a sound in the early version of the game that was removed from the final. And speaking of sounds, the sound when collecting a star is also different in this footage. It's more similar to the sound that plays when the final star picks the winner in the final game. Now, during that part of the early footage, you can also see a removed feature of the game, happiness. See, in the final game, when you collect a star, pretty much nothing happens. They go, wahoo, yeah, but that portrait stays exactly the same. Not in the early version, because originally your character portrait would just glisten with happiness on their face. I have no idea why they decided to remove this from the game, but we're not quite done with this part of the footage yet. Check out Toad. It's a bit tough to see with the quality of this VHS, but Toad definitely looks different when you compare him to the final version. The red dots are in different places, and its vest is longer too. The face also seems to have changed with bigger eyes, maybe, but that one's kind of hard to see. You know, let's check out some boards now in Mario Board. And there's one interesting change that shows up in every board in this early footage, except for DK Jungle Adventure. the missing light gray pathway, which in the final game helps guide the player on where they can move. The easiest place you'll notice that is on Yoshi's Tropical Island, and speaking of that board, all of the signs here are missing too, which were added to tell the player which direction they're allowed to go. DK Jungle Adventure is also missing an arrow too, right in front of this wall. But that is enough about boards. Let's roll the dice. After doing so in this early build, the number you roll, in my personal opinion, is absolutely massive. In the final game, it shrunk down to a much more reasonable size before the player actually starts moving. It's time for our first minigame, Bobsled Run, which features not one, but 2 timers, each one featuring a different font and color compared to the final game. There is also no record time shown on screen, maybe because it hadn't been implemented, or maybe they wanted it to be a surprise at the end if you actually got a record. Now, this next minigame, Basketball, has a really interesting change. See, in the final version, once you get a basket, an explosion particle effect covers the screen, and while it's covered, the wall is replaced to a version that has a giant hole in it. But in the early VHS tape, it's much more complex, with the wall actually exploding in front of you into tiny triangular shards instead of just popping in.
Well, that's all the VHS had to offer for Mario Board, but there's one more place to get an early look at the game, and it's on an extremely difficult to find CD-ROM for Windows 95, 98, and NT called Nintendo Dictionary and Encyclopedia Special presents CD-ROM Set.
CD what?
Which was released by Soft Business Research Institute as an encyclopedia on all things Nintendo at the time.
Now, I don't have a copy myself, so I'm there we go, yeah! Nintendo Dictionary and Encyclopedia Special presents CD-ROM Set. As you can guess from the title, it was a set of discs, 2 to be exact. There are 6 chapters included in the set featuring Nintendo's history, policies, unreleased interviews, as well as screenshots, videos, animations, the works. Now, as for the date this set came out in, it's a bit complicated. The back of the jewel case says copyright 1997, but according to the disc's primary volume descriptor, the set was actually created in 1998. That places these discs released at around the same time as the VHS that we looked at before. So if that VHS had so much early footage, what early footage do we have of Mario Party on this disc? Drumroll please. Absolutely nothing. All we've got is one single screenshot.
Yeah, that's right. I brought up this whole thing, talked about the history of this CD set, burned my own copy, recorded tons of B-roll just for one single screenshot. And guess what else? There's only one change. The sign on Slot Car Derby's minigame says Nintendo in the final game, but in the screenshot, it's a placeholder Mario sign from Mario Kart 64. That's it. Moving on. You know, we've talked so much about changes in minigames throughout development, but why don't we take a moment to talk about minigames that were never playable in the final game, but instead are just sitting there, unused? Yeah, that's right. Let's check out some completely scrapped minigames in Mario Party.
First, we've got Bungee Jump, which is believed to be one of the earliest minigames that ended up being scrapped. And we think that for a couple reasons. One of which, it doesn't work. Like, at all, the game will refuse to even reach the explanation screen, so there's also nothing for me to really show you except for this unused line of text for the controls and these lines in Japanese for Toad's advice. That's one reason to believe it was an early scrap minigame, but another would be the fact that there are 5 lines of text in Toad's advice, but in the final game there's only enough room for 4 lines, which means it was designed in a way that does not fit with the final explanation screen. And speaking of those lines, here's my translation for it. As I said though, there's no minigame to show here, so let's move on to at least one that has an explanation screen to view. Now, unfortunately, it does have a giant line of text covering the screen stating that this minigame is under development. And boy is it. I I don't know what's up with their printer, but apparently the preview image has been printing for over 25 years. So we're not even going to be able to see a screenshot of this minigame, especially since pressing start just takes us to Bumper Ball Maze 1, which, in case you're curious, is not what this minigame was originally supposed to be. No, originally it was supposed to launch a minigame called Tour de Mario, which was a scrapped cycling minigame where you just mash the A button to win. One of my favorite types of minigames. But our next game, we can actually see. No more text obscuring anything, fully printed. Here is All or Nothing. It looks very similar to Chance Time, but is way less complex. It's a simple game of luck, quite literally all or nothing. As Toad puts it, it's just luck whether you get the Mario mark or the Bowser mark, so trust to luck and just hit the block. But, of course, there is no minigame to actually play, it does not exist. Pressing start just sends you to the final version of Chance Time instead.
Alright, that's enough imagining what these minigames could look like. My brain is done thinking. I'm ready to actually play one. What amazing, spectacular experience are we gonna have? It's the Mario universe. Anything is possible. Alright, here we go. Mario's walking into prison. That's a good start. This is gonna be good. Okay. Match the colored tiles. Very nice. I think my mom has this game on her iPad. This is called Same Game, and even though there's no explanation screen, it's pretty obvious what you have to do here. Ground pound on the blocks that have the same color to remove them, and if you remove all the blocks, you get the treasure chest, which is loaded with coins. But if you can't clear all of them, you'll just have to settle with one of the doors that only has one single coin. This game is completely functional, but the same can't be said for our last unused minigame, which is playable but is a little rough around the edges. It's called Yoshi's Tongue Meeting, and I can promise you that whatever popped in your head is not what this minigame is actually about. It starts with your character riding a Yoshi, or if you're playing as Yoshi, you're just you. Each Yoshi has a baby wiggler on its tongue, and it's your job to press the A button at just the right moment to allow the baby to reach his mother across the river. And you'd better press that button correctly, because if you're too early, they won't reach each other and both will burst into tears. But if you're too late, you will slam the baby directly into their mother's skull and they will fly off screen, causing the baby to burst into tears. And it's even got some debug text here to really drive the point home that you made a big mistake. And I just want to say also, the audio here is spectacular. Now, those text descriptors aren't the only form of unused text in Mario Party. There is some in the game that show off some pretty cool stuff. Early scrapped functionality. For instance, did you know that there was originally a limit to the amount of stars you could collect in a single game? Now, this could have technically been a different mode, not the way the main game was meant to be played, but either way, there was a planned option to allow you to limit how many stars appeared on a map in total, based on these two lines of text. Presumably, once you collected that last star, the game was over. So maybe there was like an option to have an unlimited number of turns and a limited number of stars, but that's just speculation. What's not speculation is that Chance Time would have originally had the ability to swap two players' locations, which is something that's not possible in the final game, since Chance Time could only affect coins and stars there. But I would say the most interesting scrapped game functionality is the no game situation that can only be activated with a Game Shark code. You know how normally at the end of a turn, depending on what color space the players landed on, a specific type of minigame is played? Like if 3 players landed on a blue space and 1 landed on a red space, it's a 1v3 minigame. Well, with the no game situation forced on, no matter what space you land on, every player's stat card turns yellow. Which isn't normal since there aren't any yellow spaces in the game. I mean, you could technically count the star space, but you don't really ever land on that, you kind of just walk past it. But anyway, when the turn ends, the text no game appears on screen, and pressing A causes the next turn to immediately start with no minigame played. And if you just so happen to be on the last turn of the game, an unused graphic appears that says game over, and pressing A ends the game. And with that, it's game over for us as well. You know what, actually, I want to show you one more thing. See, I've always loved test rooms in video games. They've been like a fascination of mine. It's got a strange, you're not supposed to be here atmosphere to them. And that's definitely the case in Mario Party.
let's check out a room called @motion check. First, to get here, you need to use a GameShark code to access the debug menu and head on down to option 81. But you know what? Let's do a little sidetrack here. Look at that background. Notice how Donkey Kong's portrait has a giant question mark on it, which is not used in the game. Could it be that his model wasn't finished at this point in development? You know, when the background was made, since they didn't have a render yet? We don't know. So moving on, let's head on down to the test room. Oh, we gotta pick a player, so let's pick Mario. So motion check spawns you with 3 other random NPCs in a grassy area with a giant flower from Coin Shower Flower. And there's also this bright white object orbiting the flower that will hurt you if you touch it, so be careful. You can also hurt the 2 NPCs on top by attacking them, jumping on them. Basically, they just act like normal. But the one on the bottom, you cannot interact with at all. It will just stay there, motionless, unable to move. And that same thing goes for the camera. It is not able to move from this position, so in order to show you more of the area, I did a little cheating to force the camera to move. Now you're able to see that the triangle in the background says slope on it, and as you can guess, it was for testing slopes. If we jump up the stairs to the left of it, we can slide down for maximum fun. And if you're curious what that gradient blue block on the top is, it's too tall to jump on, so it's practically just there to be in the way. And fun fact, you can walk up the slope very, very slowly. To the right of the slope, you've got this tall tower that despite its look, you can actually walk up it. And once you reach the top, you'll fall right through since there's no collision. Luckily, the back of it also does not have collision on the inside, so you can walk right out. And if you're curious, no, there's nothing behind the tower. But we do get a good look at these blocks, which are right in front of the flower. There are several of them. So let's start with the 2 that say 2.5 on them, which are simply there to be jumped on. Other than the big difference being the size of the blocks, they are slightly different in another way. If you punch the smaller one, you get a nice little particle effect and get slightly pushed back, but the big one does absolutely nothing. To the left of those blocks is a 1.5 block that moves up and down all on its own. And if you decide that you want to stand in its way, it will not crush you, don't worry. You will simply pop up on top. And last, but certainly not least, we have the small 0.5 block that can be picked up and tossed around. And get this, folks, if you aim your jump just right, you can even get a slight bounce from it. Whew. Interesting stuff.
So that's Mario Party, a party game that from the very beginning was designed to be unfair. I kind of like that. Sure, I've had people I've played with get so mad they throw the controller across the room and don't talk to anyone again for the rest of the night, but that doesn't take away the fact that I won. Even though it was because of bonus stars, I won. And they can't take that away from me.
We are the superstars!
If I have one employee consistently moving things between racks and then I have employees set on triggers to pick those things up in racks, I can have more than one item in a rack. It's a lot of racking. I need to hire more employees. Whatever, bro. I'm just gonna go to bed.
Now, being a certified...
What is going on? I don't want to watch another one of these. Any other nerdy shit? We can watch Vine Sauce. Wait. I just realized I could be a streamer that watches Vine Sauce while I stream. This is a new level of fucking slop. I love it.
Folder too with some really cool games, but this is made over a month by a chat member named Sam, and it is a very
we're watching
now,
Vine Sauce as slop,
but I think you'll find some of these interesting. And
oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with Mario.
Let's do it
on the Game Boy Advance. This is real. Okay, now I have a bunch of notes for this one, so some of these I will not have. Ah, shit! It opened on my other screen. Here we go. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go, chat. MGBA. This is real. It's not running in some other program. Now, I wonder. Okay, now I'm gonna try to do this. I need to probably change a control or two. So if you give me just a second here. All right. There he is.
He's playing Mario.
Ooh. Oh man, that is crunchy. I'll read you a little bit about this game after I explore for a bit, but here, chat, would this be easier to look at? How is it now?
Yeah, it's easier for them to see. Absolutely. Good job, Vinny.
GBA screen. It maybe wouldn't be that as bad. Yeah, it'd probably be pretty bad. No bombs here.
You guys can see that very easily, right?
Okay, Goomba.
It's so small that you guys can't see it. I love it. That's a Mario 64 right there.
I mean, it's playable.
Yeah, that is playable, Vinny. They can totally see it. It's a Mario. Would've been... Come out here. Buy my weed.
You can still do some of the moves. No chain chomp.
Hey, you. Come buy my weed.
The frame rates are really, really good, but I'm assuming in order to stay good, there has to be a lot of cut content.
Hey, you. Buy my weed.
And yeah, it plays
Good.
weirdly.
All right. I got enough
Like
money.
maybe, I would say, you know, you're using the D-pad here, but it works pretty well. Someone wanted to know if it was
Home
like,
slice.
better than Mario 64 DS. And no, it's not.
I'm gonna need 10 of these.
Joke about that, but no, the controls are.
These things suck.
perfectly
I don't know
functional
why
for
I
a
bought them.
D-pad.
They were a big waste of space. I might end up deleting.
But
I
they're
need.
not, like,
I need.
they're not
Fuck.
great.
Give me like 5 of those. Start moving everything to big stations.
See if there's King Bomb up here. If there's anything to do other than just run around.
I don't know what this pre-owned toilet is, but I bought it.
Now, some of you may ask why.
Oh, there's the Mario.
And again,
You
these are
can
just
see it.
fan projects.
Yeah, Mario.
Oh, there's a star.
Hey, I can easily deposit whatever this is. So I will.
I don't know why. I think just for the love of the game, just for fun. Oh.
Do I need to give them
Adjust
money?
The graphics in the pause menu. You can just turn textures off. That's interesting. Dual texturing.
Ah.
Resolution.
There you go.
160. Huh. I mean, okay, you could play like this. Are the sound effects delayed? Yes. Mario's model is like incredible. Let me see. If you turn textures off, you get more frames. Dual texturing also helps, but you know, it gets rid of some frames. So let's try. Let's see what this is like. This is not too bad. Like 20 FPS is not
Can't really tell. That's a great Mario.
It's
It's
not
a Mario.
great.
I don't have any weed.
It
Oh,
looks
but
like
I needed
Star
stuff from
Fox
here,
version of
yeah.
Mario 64.
Hey, do you have any more horse cum?
Would have been Mario if they kept.
I need horse
going on the
semen.
Super Nintendo.
Give me horse semen.
Change the view.
And Adderall. And some Mega Bean. And some chili pepper.
Kind of not worth it for the amount of frames that you save. In fact, very much not worth it. Oh boy, that is rough to look at.
I learned that you guys don't need beds. So, in lieu of beds, we're gonna have more
Apparently I
storage.
Control K for shaders.
And there's gonna be storage in here you guys can use in between these beds. And yeah. Let me see, you guys out of anything? Well, you could use some Mega
Bean. One of
Bean.
those.
And then in here,
There's a shader for.
we're gonna eventually. I think I'm just gonna have this a conveyor belt of stuff moving between
There's the
them,
Mario.
and then people who need things will trigger between them.
GBA.
And that will be their
shader.
feeder, and that way I don't need these here, and it's just like a layer, and one employee just
Wii U
moves
shader.
like a buffer. He's like,
No. Fish.
and he just moves things. I don't know. I that's the idea. I
TV
think I'm going a bit too Factorio with this,
You're not getting any
but it makes money.
PS saves here.
No, I just need to get out of my way.
GBA.
Trash grabber.
Yeah, this is like. I mean, it's a miracle that this works, but. You can kind of cycle through levels.
Dude, Vinny is fucking killing it right now. He's playing the Mario. It's great. You know, I never really thought that the statement
Turn the shader off.
the statement that the content could get much worse for you guys was so freeing to me that I realized that I could be enjoying myself so much more. What?
I mean, for some people that say you still keep your shirt.
I still keep my shirt on, yeah. But what I'm saying is I could be enjoying myself more, and my viewers could be enjoying themselves even less. So I'm literally watching Vine Sauce while I'm streaming. And you know what? It's pretty good. I think this amount of mental fucking derision and slop where there's just Vine Sauce in the corner and you see 50 billion camera angles of me. You guys say AI is terrible content. I believe my content can be worse than AI generated slop. I'm trying to go lower. You guys keep inventing content even worse. I can't just be a man in front of a camera going poop, poop, poop for 24 hours. That's too entertaining. I have to be terrible. Like I can't be good enough. It is hard to be the bottom of the barrel. Okay, guys? I always I'm that guy, but if I press I don't think I can't. I'm not minimize the game. I can't. Having no viewers is incredibly difficult. Look, if the world record is my entire life, I didn't have an audience, but I had hours of content proving it. I actually proved that if you chop a tree down in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it really make a sound? I don't know. What if the tree's screaming, "Hey, look at me," the entire time it falls? Like, holy fuck. I don't mean subterraneously or anything like we're like the tree is chopped down actively. You know. You're just like, I shake my head. Yep, I nod.
Shake my head and agree.
I nod my head and agree. Yep. I hope that fart got caught on any of these microphones. That I'm this close to investing on just getting this microphone and having it attached to the chair. You guys can't hear this one. It's not on. Well, it is on, but it's not on for you. Also, the one on my headset's not on, but I have it there so you guys think it's the one I'm using. I could turn it on anytime. I think it's
Yeah, that's this one. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's time to stream, and then over here. Yeah, this one. And that's when I start using this one.
Wait.
All right, guys, we did it. We did it. We finally, we've achieved.
I really need to go on.
You gotta find that. I hope we did it.
I hope we've achieved it. I hope I was gassy enough on command with enough delay to finally. And that microphone is so perfectly shaped. Keep in mind, I'm not gonna put this near my eyeball. Hey, don't be putting that microphone near your eyes, okay? Don't wipe it with your eyes with your mic. Oh my god, it smells like fart. Did you get it? How good is it? How good is it?
You'll see. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, you gotta send me a clip. I gotta actually open up Discord for this.
Hold on.
Guys,
It's loading. It's loading.
I don't know what to tell you, but the content, you think that the content standards were low and they got worse. I'm telling you that the content is getting better than it ever has before.
Hold on, it's still
When I got,
loading.
who's this? Well, no? Wait. Guys. I'm too gassy, and some of these they smell terrible. This is awful. This is awful. I can't keep experiencing this. All right, what I got some. No, I'm not taking my
Sub stay a while.
All right. Were you sending me a DM on
Yes, I'm sorry. I also got your second fart loading.
Discord? I'm confused. The first fart was awful. The second fart was awful. I don't think the second fart is worth listening to.
Just shh. It's
The
all a
first fart,
It's all a fart. Okay.
I haven't known. J Car says I haven't known this game for a while, and I'm like, it's a fart.
Oh my gosh, just calm down. Everyone, just calm down.
Calm down. What? Don't get a big dick.
Saying farts.
Calm down. Don't get a big dick.
Shit yourself.
Oh, we did get it. Oh, it's like not even a Twitch clip. All right, let me see this. I think that's perfect. There's none. Wait. Yeah. The first one's way better than the second one.
Well,
The second one.
They should both be on your Twitch right now as a clip made by me. It's
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Just.
All right, guys.
One more time. Yeah, that's my fart. Hey, we live.
I need a charger for this.
Need a charger for what? Oh,
Is there one I can hook up into my computer?
right there. Right there next to you. Like, I need a charger. Like the one right next to you. Oh. The I'm stuck button isn't really a reflection of the game of me. It's a reflection of the game. But I do feel stuck. I feel stuck. I feel gassy.
Unload shader. Here we go. Okay. Going back to textures. What if, okay, we do this resolution but dual textures. You lose some frames, but the textures do get a little bit better. I mean, it's kind of, it's cool that there's a number of options available. Soon Mario 64 will be the doom. Can Mario 64 run on a pregnancy test? That's the real question. Oh, you can do a long jump. I wonder if you could do a BLJ. Let us see him. Is this built from scratch? I really don't have any other answers, but... Okay, this ROM is not publicly available. I reached out to the creator of this port directly, and he sent it to me on the condition I do not let it get out on the internet. So, I will not be posting this. Sorry, chat. I mean, I kind of get it. What's the point? I guess to make it into a video for the creator's channel and to test their programming abilities. And for fun? I don't know. What's the point of anything? Holy shit. Oh, Mario's drowned. But yeah, I mean, portfolio as well. I mean, there's probably some real value here to some companies that are looking to do like look, chat. Say you want to port The Witcher 3 to the Switch 2. You know, it would look like this. So you would need someone who's really good at porting. No, I mean, that's honestly not really a joke you can do anymore. After seeing Cyberpunk running on the Switch 2, I don't really think there's much of a technology gap as we would like to joke that there is. But yeah, I mean, make no mistake, this is the worst way to play Mario 64, but it's surprisingly, like, kind of good. Like I said, small screen. It is playable on GBA, and there's proof of that. So, and I am running this in MGBA. I don't think some of these levels are actually in the game. No. So, there's a lot of levels that are just not in the game. And there's some that don't seem like they're working. So, I mean, yeah, this is just, it's a really neat tech demo. View distance is better on 100%, okay?
Wow, it looks amazing. That looks like Mario 64, dude.
Wow. Oh boy. As someone that did a segment on that's rough, 6 FPS. On 3D GBA games, I promise you they're not as well optimized as this. Most of the 3D games on the GBA are actually like garbage. So the fact that this runs as well as it does is kind of like blowing my mind right now. There are a lot of like first-person shooters on the GBA that just, again, are not even, from what I could tell or what I can see, in my uneducated opinion, not as complex as this and run worse. But yeah. All right, I mean, not much else to see, but that was a really amazing start to the segment. I'm like kind of, like I said, just really grateful. Thank you, Sam, for sending that my way and for getting permission from the dev. It says here, doors are kind of buggy. Yeah, star doors aren't locked. All right, cool. Let's see what other stuff we have here. Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the Sega Genesis.
What? What? Symphony of the Night on the Sega Genesis? Ow! As a person who just argued about Castlevania thoroughly with someone else, I am flabbergasted.
I don't know what Oh.
Sega!
1 second, chat. Okay, so this is a game I'm pretty familiar with. It's one of my favorite games ever. Soma.
Bro, you look like a Simpson. They bought my fucking Simpson weed.
So, yeah. I'll let you know how accurate it is. I think it's honestly probably just a completely different game. When you press start, it just takes you to different areas.
Wow. Bro, I'm selling
This is
some
like Aria
fucked
of
up
Sorrow.
weed.
Is it
It's
a
just
mix of
weed,
Symphony
right?
and Aria?
That's the stuff I've been selling. Dude, I got some weird ass drug dealers. The hell have you been selling people, Molly?
This isn't a port then, really.
My weed.
No,
What have you been
no.
selling them?
When you press start,
It's music.
like I said, you go to your warp, so there's no consistency here. Better than the Gamecom version. At least there's that. This was primarily made to test the visual prowess that Genesis could push out. They wanted to port textures, sprites, and animation as closely as possible, despite the Genesis limitations. You know what? The backgrounds look good, even though there's less depth. The sprite work on Alucard in particular looks very good. Like, the animations are really good. Everything looks pretty goddamn close. But, you know, I mean, the sound isn't great. That's the best part right there. Yeah, you won't really know if it's possible to get this for sure unless you start adding enemies and objectives and stuff, but...
I got shoved.
Oh god. Oh god, Soma can attack real fast. I'm impressed, again, but yeah, there's just not enough here. It's not far enough along to really say if it could be done. But I think pretty okay. Any other animated sprite in the FPS would tank? I do believe that. There's something wrong about Soma's color palette. He's not bright enough. No offense to his intelligence. But yeah, the GBA version, obviously, he's quite bright. Tomb Raider. Let's check out Tomb Raider. So there's a folder here. Okay, oh god. Tomb Raider on the GBA. This is all Open Lara, open source Tomb Raider engine with varying levels of functionality. All right, let's see. Let's do GBA version. Okay. All right. Someone said show them. What? Show the audience? What do you want the audience to see? Triangles? I used to think, like, okay, show someone, like, a sphere. Like, even a beach ball, and someone's gonna be like, oh, baby. But it turns out even triangles. Lara Croft did this. Well, just, yeah, cones. Yeah. So here's the deal, chat. I actually do not like Tomb Raider. I am not a Tomb Raider fan. I had Tomb Raider 2, and I played through some levels, and the controls just annoyed me so goddamn much. It was just a very unfun game, even back in the day. Sorry. Slide and jump from that slope. All right. I'm sure there's been like Tomb Raiders that I probably would enjoy, like more recent ones, but yeah, I think oh god, the Tomb Raider appeal back in the day was pretty, you know, there's a reason for that. The new ones are torture porn. Oh. I really tried to like Tomb Raider 2, and I had it, I bought it, so it was one of those games that, you know, I put a lot of hours into because I wanted it to be good. And yet just everything felt, this is bringing back some of those memories. L plus A to put your guns away. You know, we'll just go to the next one. Panasonic 3DO version of Tomb Raider. Open Lara. Open Lara, baby!
Welcome to my home. I'll take you on a guided tour. Use the D-pad to go into the music room.
Is that the real Lara Croft?
Okay, let's do some tumbling. Press the jump button. Now press it again and quickly press one of the directions and I'll jump that way.
I mean, this is definitely more, let's say, playable, visible.
Run up to a crate and while still pressing forward, press action and I'll vault up onto it.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Ah. Why does Lara have 2 balloons in her pants? Those are adventuring balloons. There's a next level button. I'm trying to find it. There we go. There's also a button to just modify the yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is very playable. Her face is all messed up. I mean, yeah. The recently remastered games have modern analog controls that make the games better, is what a chat member is saying. I believe that. I'm sure there's a lot of fun to be had in Tomb Raider, but I also feel like... Let's see Lara's face. Oh boy. Oh god, polygon tearing. Oh god, Lara, what have they done to you? I'm so sorry. Yeah, Tomb Raider 2, the levels also confused me.
Welcome to my home.
It's probably a skill issue. Who knows if I played it these days, what it would be like. But regardless, let's continue. Let's do Sega 32X version. So, what's more powerful? I don't know which one between the last one and this one. 32X or the Panasonic 3DO? This has more fog. I'm gonna say the 3DO was more powerful. Just based on nothing other than current observation. And there does not appear to be sound on this one, no. Oh god, the jumping fucking sucks. Okay. You gotta do like side jumps to get up there, or you can climb over it.
There we go.
Use the shoot button with no guns out to climb. Bold of you to assume I know where the... Oh, there it is. Okay, I think that will be just fine. Kill a couple bats, move on. Very nice. It's impressive that they can do that on those consoles. Now, let's take a look at Metroid NES on the SNES. This even has fake box art.
Oh, that's cool. Fake box art and everything.
Some of these are ports of NES games to SNES. They've gone a step further and integrated MSU1 support to give the game's new CD quality soundtracks. Plus, there's no slowdown or sprite flicker. There's a lot more, but I just included a few. Oh, cool. Okay. Is that like their logo now? Are they doing the alien thing? Yeah, they're doing the alien thing. Someone in chat referenced the canceled SNES CD attachment. That would have been the Nintendo PlayStation. Oh wait, no. But yeah, maybe they could have done shit like this. What do I type? I type Amekakira. Okay. raise the music a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's just Metroid, but with a better soundtrack and no slowdown now. Which is cool. I don't know if there's more. Does there need to be more? No. Someone said they thought there was a map. No map added. Well, fuck. Okay, let's check out more stuff. Castlevania for the Intellivision. This is Castlevania remade on the Intellivision, a console that predates the Famicom by 4 years.
Castlevania on the Intellivision is insane.
Intellivision.
Intellivision. Whoa, that looks insane though.
Chat, just think this could have been Castlevania as we know it. A little bit of buzzing. It's fun. It's good for your ears. Strengthen them. Strengthen them. Yeah, I mean, it's Castlevania. It works. It's really cool. Yeah, for a pretty, like, for a less powerful console than Nintendo. It works surprisingly well. With good frame rates, too. I mean, sure, the enemies just look like, I don't know, living vomit come to life. But they're definitely, you know they're enemies because they're weird. With 45 years hindsight in programming. Well, it's like watching Keiz Emanuar talk about his Mario 64 thing, where he's like correcting inefficiencies in the code. And, you know, he can get Mario 64 to run at like 50 frames a second, and, you know, all the models and textures and everything looks amazing. With hindsight, you can do quite a bit on some of these old consoles. You can really make something work that, you know, maybe at the time it would have taken a couple years. Also, no time crunch. Yeah, that's true. And like, yeah, there's a collaborative process too. There's probably like multiple people contributing like bits of information and code, trying to like troubleshoot, problem solve. Because also the internet. And in the early days of gaming, maybe it wasn't as easy to collaborate on problem solving. But I'm very, very impressed with this because it really just feels like Castlevania. Not as much had to be sacrificed as I would have expected. A little crispy.
Well, that's one hell of a... He has a long head now. He's fighting it.
All right. That one was cool. All right. Let's see what other ones are here that are recommended. There's a lot of stuff, and there's like bonus materials. I think it's gonna be gonna be good, but Dreamcast Thomas Wave ports. Okay, what is a Thomas Wave? It's an arcade platform created by Sega and Sammy that is heavily based on Dreamcast hardware. These are those arcade games ported to the Dreamcast. Lots of really nice sprite work, especially Dolphin Blue, Guilty Gear, and NGBC. So some of these I may go a little bit quick, but let's check out, for example, Metal Slug 6. The hell's a Dreamcat? Wow. And that's at 50% volume, mind you.
That was loud.
Derma.
Derm.
It's loading. Maybe. It's not loading. It is crashed. I'm a little more unfamiliar with these games, so I don't know how impressive of a thing this is.
Please select your character.
The hell? Is that just random? Oh, that's random.
Good luck.
What is that Granny doing in the background?
Yeah, what's a grandma?
Let's rock.
I've never played Guilty Gear, by the way. I'm not the biggest fighting game guy, so... Vinny, does this have rollback? Oh yeah, I'm the guy to ask for that. You corrupted it. I corrupted it. So is this cool that it runs on this, on the Dreamcast, or is this just arcade stuff that, of course, the Dreamcast can handle? It is very cool. Okay. Door stuck. I don't really know what I'm doing, but okay. I'll try YY Drive. We could do that. It's sideways.
Choose your car. You choose Kabuto.
Okay.
Free wingman. Round one, start.
What the fuck is this game? This is like, I don't know what the fuck is happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. Ow. Yeah. Ow.
A baby arcade game. Maybe Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Let's see. What other games do we have here? Doom for Game Boy.
What?
This I'm curious about. It's got some filtering. I'll get rid of that. Okay. All right. I think I need to set some inputs. Play or setup? Setup? No? Play? Yes? No? Yeah, I'm pressing start. Let me clear all this and try again. Nope. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Oh, this is bad. What the fuck?
What?
Does the guy, the Doom guy in the bottom left, look like the bad mustache man a little bit?
This is so bad. This is one of the worst things I think I've ever heard.
This is not really... it's weird. It's not Doom. It is like you go into an area and then you go into a shoot mode. Sometimes. Maybe not everything can run Doom. But I think the Commodore 64 can. Oh, there's a... What's going on here? Numlock on. Use numpad to control. It said there was a mismatch. And I don't think... Make sure I'm running as administrator. That just crashed. Alright, well, some of these...
Jesse.
Aren't looking so good.
Jesse.
VIC.
Jesse, you're not making a lot of sense,
Mismatch
Jesse.
module?
You're saying good
Oh,
evening
God,
to me, but
this
you're
is
just
not-
sort of...
There's no way this
Jesse.
is troubleshot properly. Sorry.
Fuck.
Like especially for like something that already has problems with emulation. Desert Bus on the GBA by Game Freak. Why is Pikachu here? We are Penn and Teller. The objective is the game is simple, perhaps too simple. You are a bus driver and you have to drive a bus from Tucson to Las Vegas. It's a straight line to the finish. there might be something wrong with the steering. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Never would I have expected this combo. So your name is No. Yes. Your very own bus legend is about to unfold. An empty world of nothing awaits. Let's go. Excuse me. It's actually worse than I expected. And no, it's not as much of a port as it is a creative hack for fun. Somebody send this to Joel. I mean, if he wants to torture himself with it. Wow. Wow. What's up with the men? I don't know. Really hope you make it and realize you had to read the sign to pick up the guys at the bottom. Workmen eating beans. Road closed. Oh, you just made, that was a conjecture. There was a conjecture. Okay. All right, very good. Very good game. Steamed hams on the Commodore VIC 20. Boy, I hope this works. It actually works.
Getting a little pooped on the schedule
I'm sorry,
one.
but what do you mean steamed hams on the Commodore?
I might.
Well, Seymour, I made it despite your directions. Oh, Super Talbot Chalmers. Oh, be prepared for an unforgettable luncheon. You good? Is that Marge's maiden name? Don't really understand how to play this. Numlock on. Type in the line. Yeah, I know I'm typing, but like. Snowball. You know, I think I'm good. All right. Portal for the Commodore PET. You probably need to select and move letters. Yeah, I guess so, but like, you know, it's fine. I got it. I got the idea. Let's see. There was another set of buttons that I'm probably missing. Oh, wait. No, I got it. Oh, God. Oh. Best gaming. No! Oh, that's fine. Now I'm thinking with portals and portholes. Now you stole that from me. You don't know if I said that first. It is kind of not conducive to Sunday stream to try to spend too long figuring out the controls. Sorry. But a native port for the decomp. So this is Super Mario 64 on the PSP.
It's me, Mario. Hello.
Really?
Okie dokie.
Really though?
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you.
Just looks like normal high resolution Mario 64.
Peach.
I do hear the audio crust, however. There is some crust. The crustaceous period. Someone said they played tons of N64 on their soft modded PSP. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that a PSP could run N64 games well. N64 emulation on the original PSP was really bad. This is miles ahead. Shadow's fucked. There's some weird control stuff, but yeah, otherwise it's Mario 64. This is from the decomp. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. It's a port rather than emulation. It should be good. It's, you know, weird Shadow aside, so far it's pretty good. Do I have a PSP? I borrowed a PSP a while back, but I never owned one. It's a little bit better than the GBA port. Not much, just a little bit. I want to see... something here. This is native PSP resolution. It's nice to see Mario 64 on the stream once in a while, because I neglect this game a lot. But yeah, still really, really good port. I mean, you know, again, if it's the decomp, that makes a lot more sense. But, Super Mario Land in Bitsy? What is this? Bitsy is an intentionally limited game engine designed exclusively for retro-style top-down adventure games. This is Super Mario Land in that engine. Learning about new game engines every day. They fly now? This is good cock punching tunes. right, it's like a little bit of a loose kind of descriptor to say that Mario Land is in this engine. So you can just jump. You can kind of walk around like you're playing a top-down game. But you have a limit, and then you have to get back to the ground to get to the next screen. So there's really not much here that's like particularly accurate, but it is a thing that is happening. You have been hurt. You are now small again. How would we know otherwise? Just like that, it's over. Ah, games back in the day were so much better. Back in the day. Doki Doki Literature Club fan game in Virtual Boy.
What?
Yeah, English would be just fine. Is there a reason she's like pulsating? Vinny, this is not a you game. Oh, I'm very, very well aware. I think there's supposed to be text. Okay, well. Yeah, it's just a little fucked up. Just a little unplayable in bugs, no problem. All right, well, dodge the bullet there. Let me refer to this list. Zelda 1 on the Amstrad CPC. Be real with you, chat. I don't know what the fucking Amstrad PCP is. I'm having a hard time capturing this game. Yeah, it's really, really weird. Press fire 1.
Why does his audio sound bad?
Vinny, your mic? What's going on with my microphone?
Yeah, your mic sounds busted as shit.
What's happening? Is this like fucking up my everything? Hello? Crust in and out. Oh boy. Oh god. Oh my god. Oh yeah, that's bad. Reset.
10 employees in the barn.
But
10 employees in the warehouse.
I can't actually play the goddamn game. Press space to attack. Numlock on for remap controls to work. Okay, I think we got numlock. Num nuts. Okay.
I'm coming for you.
Bottom left where it says cartridge. Click settings. Memory.
Thank you.
Enable cartridge. Okay. I really, really wanted to see what this one looked like. Numeric keypad. Ah! Oh God. This is like, wow. Okay. They just straight up remade the visuals for this. Okay, I have a sword. Sword. Let me see what button. Space to attack. Oh God. The title says Panties of Zelda. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Wow. Culotte could have a couple different meanings, actually. Exactly, Chad. It's not it's not the Panties of Zelda. There's no fucking way.
There we go.
Some really hard to listen to noises here. But I mean, look, they even interpreted the landscape differently for a little visual variety. It could also mean huge ass. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not the panties of Zelda, it's the huge ass of Zelda. Try to get to like a dungeon. I'm probably gonna die before I get there. No, we can do this. No, we can't. What the fuck? That's supposed to be open. Oh, great. Someone put their own fucking creative twist. You must complete the tutorial first. A giant pea hat. That is not a normal Zelda 1. So yeah, there's some additional materials here, chat. Okay. Oh my God! Chat, the game over. Chat, you have to see the game over. I feel like I just witnessed something, like, forbidden. Okay, hang on. This is actually... a very difficult game to capture, but it'll be worth it. You need to see the game over. It's great. I saw it for like half a second before I clicked off. It's a little rated M for one moment. Maybe this is Wordle on the NES, chat.
What?
This could have been as big as Tetris.
Nah, it's Wordle.
No? What happened? What did I do? Wait, is that good? Or I don't know what colors or what. Who's that frog? Yellow is the right. It's not a frog. That's a that's a P. There's a P. Yellow means letters included but not in the right place. Okay, so it could be these are real words, chat. Why did I do that? It's fucking God, no. Sear. Why won't it do that? It has to be a real word? You can, chat, you can do fake words in the real one. You can do fake words. I use fake words all the time. No, you can't? Oh, never mind. You can in Vindle. Oh, you can in my version on the vinesauce.com website. Oh my god, it's Vortal. Yes, chat, okay. I erased my memories and that is what I thought was real, and it is not. Angle. Okay. A. L. G. A. Algae. Shrimp. Hey, Wordle on the NES is awesome. Surprisingly good. Okay, there's definitely more of this we could do. There's a lot more, in fact, but I'm just gonna go to... There's some really interesting ones here. I'm seeing some like Resident Evil on the Sega Genesis. I'm seeing more Portals, some Sonic stuff, Wolfenstein, more Doom. However, I'm gonna go into the bonus area real quick. Let us start with Chrono Trigger. The Wheel of Time. Have I played this? Why is Chrono's mom named Gina? Why not? I don't know. It's just, that's not her name in the game. Friend? Who? Why is Chrono talking? Oh boy. Oh, you can zoom so fast. But only if you go left and right. Wait, what? What's going on here? It's weird. Company on the title screen is known for making NES D-makes on bootleg carts. Is that the princess? Let's go look. Will you help find my necklace? Yes. Thank you. Bring it here when you find it. I mean, it's almost Chrono Trigger a little bit. Like 10% Chrono Trigger. So wait, if Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time, which it is, does that make this by proxy 10% of my favorite game of all time? It is my 100th favorite. Yeah. Oh wow, the telepod actually looks kind of like the telepod a little bit.
I think I'm done playing this game.
This
right
machine
now.
teleports. Anything can teleport.
And it might be until they do a bunch more and
Chrono's
they
asking
add
the
more
real
to
questions.
The game,
Is
it
that
might
thing
be when
safe?
I quit playing for a bit because I'm to the turnkey point. I've got the growing weed for me, and I've got the weed being made for me, and I've got the weed being sold for me. And even though I haven't made meth yet, I don't want to make meth until there's like more to do, because there's like nothing to do after you make meth. There's
Story
3
is
buildings
time
to
warp.
buy, and then you're done with the game. So I think I've brain slopped my way through. And Schedule 1, I hate to say it. This is my review of Schedule 1. It's great if it's the type of game you want. It's Factorio with drugs. And for it being Factorio with drugs, it's pretty decent. Burp, burp, burp. It's pretty decent, but the problem I have with Factorio with drugs is that it's not a game. Kind of been my opinion lately, is it's not a game.
Before you start Marvel Rivals.
I don't know if I'm going to start it, but okay, what do you need to talk to me about?
Well, even if you play it and don't stream it,
Mm-hmm.
you should take the stuff down, like the sauce and stuff, and pee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to go pee?
I do.
Okay, well, I could take the sauce down, but I don't need to pee.
You don't think you do, but I want you to try.
Okay.
This is me trying to help you with your health thing.
I know. Well, we drink a lot of water and stuff. Alright, well, I'm kicking off of this. I'm done with the Schedule 1.